Welcome back. I'm Jackie Jing, and I'm with Veli and Jesse. And are y'all ready? TSM versus the Soniqs. Phase 2, Group A or Group B? Where will they land? Man, that was an extremely exciting first half of the show. How are y'all feeling moving into the second half here? Veli?
I'm feeling good. One thing I also wanted to point out, NJR's stat line last series, oh my god, he's on a tear. No. But for this being the final game today, the NAL has not disappointed. TSM vs Soniqs, I'm going to be real. You look at last series and you expect an easy 2-0, you're going to be sadly mistaken if you think the same for this series coming up now.
How about you, big brain Jesse?
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be hard to beat the last game, obviously, but
yeah.
I hope this one will be fun too. Obviously, TSM falling to Dark Zero was a shock for some people. I think that obviously TSM is one of the best teams in the world. Soniqs still have a lot to prove, still maybe dealing with some roster issues as well, just by getting their Europeans over. So I think that undoubtedly Soniqs will be the underdogs, but we'll have to wait and find out.
And Veli, we just had the bracket showing. We broke it down at the top of the show, but maybe for those just joining us now, you can talk about how the phases work and where we're at now.
Yeah, I know it can be a bit disappointing, right? But looking at phase 1, you gotta think of it as a double elimination bracket in each group. Now, the goal is you have to win 2 games total. So, we just saw Space Station Gaming go 2-1 after winning their tiebreaker game, and they're gonna be in phase 2. Phase 2 separated between 2 groups. Group A, they're going to be your top 2 teams. Group B are going to be your bottom 2 teams from each group. Now, this is important because if you're in Group A and you place top 3, you're automatically entered into the major. If you happen to not make top 3, places 4 through 6, they're going to be in a qualifier for that same major.
I said it earlier. Basically, you want to be in Group A. You don't want to be in Group B.
100%. Right? Yeah, you don't want to lose.
That's the best way to wrap it up. But really quickly, I do want to check in with our casters, Blue and Stokes. Okay, gentlemen, how are you feeling going into this matchup? Who do you think is going to take it, TSM or Soniqs? I want to pick their brains
Stokes,
a little
be honest. Blue, you too. Say it with your chest, Blue.
They're saying I'm muted somewhere, but I'm unmuted everywhere.
Well, yeah, with regard to what I think on this matchup, I think it's going to be an incredibly close affair. Both teams have been showing some really strong startups leading into this one. TSM has also been showing some issues, though, so immediately a lot of people are going to think that TSM is potentially going to be, the favorite for this one, but that may not necessarily be the case. Soniqs have shown some really promising stuff, and I think that this matchup, much like the last one, is going to be surprisingly very, very close.
Can you hear me now? Hello? Okay, I think you guys can hear me now. There we go. Okay,
Yay!
cool. Yay, we got it
There we
fixed.
go.
We just had to do some stuff on production side. Don't worry about it, guys. But now that we can actually cast the game and all that kind of stuff, I think between TSM and the Soniqs, I honestly think that the Soniqs can upset TSM here, especially with how Merc's been playing recently. He hasn't been playing bad, but in comparison to last season, his entries are not looking nearly as good, whether it be them figuring out his playstyle or what have you. We'll have to see if the Soniqs can capitalize on that, or maybe Merc wakes up and TSM gets a clean 2-0.
All right. Well, thanks for the insight, and Stokes for figuring out those mic issues. We appreciate y'all. All right, gentlemen, let's bring it back to our analysts, Veli and Jesse here. And let's start talking about this first matchup, TSM versus the Soniqs, and we will start with TSM. TSM was 3rd in the world after Invite. Tough loss against Dark Zero last week. Veli, honestly, they're kind of on shaky ground. Am I wrong?
You know what? I would say yes. Do they have too much to worry about? No. I believe in Team Solo Mid, and they know who they are exactly. Now, one of the biggest questions that are still going around the community is how does Chala fit in his new role, and the same with Geometrics. Now, I thought about what happened at USN when Geo was a hard breacher, especially on Clubhouse. He didn't have a good time, and statistically, he never really did as a hard breacher. Now, Chala has proven that when he's isolated, he can not only clutch, but dominate the game. So, seeing if this fit works still is my biggest question. They might be listening saying, oh, Veli, shut up. But it's still a big question, and I really want to see Geo be comfortable in that role. The moment he does, I feel like TSM are going to go right back to where they left off.
Yeah, and just like Veli was saying, Chala has been killing it. But Jesse, we just heard it from Stokes, Veli touching on it a little bit as well. But some of their star players have been kind of inconsistent.
Yeah, I think a lot of flack is going to be thrown on Merc. He's a player I've watched for a long, long time, and he's had some really solid performances in the past. Obviously stepped up big here in Pro League the last couple of months, last years even, and the opening weeks he's not been great for TSM. The first week was particularly bad. Second week he was sort of getting back on his horse, but he wasn't like a standout player for sure. But I think he'll have his moments, and I think he works a little bit more with these new roles. Probably things will work out for him. I think in terms of other players on TSM, I think Gio's actually been doing a pretty good job. I think that particularly his positioning has been really, really key, and getting those plants down. Obviously, he's not hitting the stat board like he was last season, but that's to be expected with the role changes for him. So yeah, certainly some inconsistencies on the side of TSM, but nothing, as Veli said, nothing major to worry about.
You know what? We can talk all day about how amazing Shal has been with his clutches and that, and what he brings to the table. But we all know, looking at TSM, this team is honestly full of stars. So the moment they really get comfortable, I'm not worried about it, man. They got this.
Yeah, they'll take off. Let's transition to the Soniqs, though. And Jess Brohard has an interview with Super. Apparently, it's very interesting.
It's good.
That's all I'm going to say. Yeah, interesting. Let's roll it.
What's up? I am Jess Brohard, and I am here with Super from the Soniqs. Hello, Super. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for joining. So I first wanted to start off by talking a little bit about, we saw that matchup versus Tempo Storm where you 2-0'd them. You guys were feeling very confident. Can you once again tell us how you were feeling after that match?
Playing against that team is not really anything important to us. We expect to be, among the top teams, the Dark Zeros, the SSGs, the TSMs. So for us, beating a team like that, it's just, waking up in the morning.
I think last night, though, you put it, the way you said was, we know they're not good.
Yeah, we have a pretty long history of just beating them every single time, and, that's not going to change anytime soon.
I love the confidence there, but then let's also talk about Dark Zero. Previously, you had fallen to them. They took the series 2-1. So what's kind of the key difference here between these two teams for you?
Against Dark Zero, we were playing with 2 substitutes. As a lot of people know, we had visa problems, and that was pretty short notice for us. We scrimmed for about 4 days for that match and still managed to win a map, which, I'll take that. I honestly wasn't expecting it to be that close. And then for Tempo Storm, we got one of our 2 players back, Gomfi, who played really well. He had a crazy clutch in that match. And, if we're to rematch Dark Zero or we play TSM, there's a decent chance that Slevin can make it back for that match. If we get our full team, I have absolute confidence that we would beat either of them.
Bringing that up, do you have a preference for which of these teams do you want to take your revenge against Dark Zero? Do you want to face them knowing you have your full lineup behind you?
I honestly couldn't say. Just for whatever reason, it wasn't on purpose, but we just didn't scrim either of those teams too much leading up to the season. So I've heard Canadian was speaking about TSM saying that they were looking a lot weaker than they were last season. And I would rather play the weaker team. It's not like any sort of revenge thing. If Dark Zero loses to TSM, they're the worst team, so we're going to play them. If TSM loses, we'll play them. And, like I said, I think we can win either way, but if we have our full roster, I have extreme confidence that we'll come out on top.
When there are no extenuating circumstances like those substitutes that you mentioned, is there anything at all that you do feel you'd like to improve on?
Not really. With our full team, we were beating SSG, we were beating all these top teams in scrims, and I think honestly we were a feared team there. The fact that we're able to 2-0 Tempo Storm, go 2-1 with Dark Zero, playing on short days' notice with substitutes, I think just speaks highly of the structure we have within our team.
All right, well, thank you so much for your time, and best of luck going forward.
Thanks.
Always fun when you're interviewing Super. That was our Jess Brohard. Oh, man. Okay, guys.
Wait. Jesse, Slevin's playing?
I haven't heard that myself. He might be.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
I just wanted to double check because I saw the graphic. I didn't see Jane. I know. I just wanted to make sure. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Jackie. I got excited.
You're fine. That was one of my questions, was just that we've seen a lot of changes to the lineup.
Yes.
So what were y'all expecting? Veli, what are we expecting? I don't know.
You expect that?
Is Slevin appearing?
I don't know, but you know what? I feel like it. I'm not gonna say it doesn't matter, but I never thought the day would come where I would say that I like Soniqs' chances, to be completely honest, and especially seeing the way that TSM lost last time against Dark Zero. Let's be honest, Hyper had a field day, but we've been seeing similar BC performance from the likes of Gonfi, Iconics, and especially J90. So that type of roaming, those type of flexible players, if they're able to get loose on the map and get comfortable the same way the Greek Freak did on Dark Zero, I feel like Soniqs can really take this to a map 3, a close game, whatever you might have it.
Okay, Big Brain Jesse, I'm going to put you in the hot seat. So, and Veli kind of touching on this, but Soniqs with 2 subs, they took a map off of DZ.
Yeah.
TSM, it's a full squad of all-stars. They went 0-2 against DZ. I mean, can the Soniqs pull this off?
I don't know. I think the Soniqs, their big problem for me is defense. Overall, they've got the worst defensive win rate of anybody in the league. That's sitting at 48%, which doesn't sound bad on its own, but you got to take into the fact that this is a defender-sided meta that we're in and we've been in for years. So not getting even 50% on defense overall over the course of all your games is a little bit of a red flag in my mind. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they did play that first week, obviously really chaotic, which is kind of how they took that first map off Dark Zero. Obviously, they were kind of just sending people all around the map and letting their young guys frag out. So that kind of might lead to a less higher win rate on defense, especially since their opening engagement stats are really, really bad. They've been losing, I think, 43% they've only won, which is, again, the lowest of everybody in the league. And if they can get that up, they might find more success because they've got a pretty decent win rate when they can get that opening pick. 46% is above the league average. But there needs to be a little bit more structure thrown in there, and hopefully with time with their 1 sub, J90, that's started to progress a little bit.
Yeah.
Ooh, Jesse coming down hard on them. So predictions. I feel like I know where Jesse's going.
Well, I mean, okay, I was downplaying a lot on Soniqs, just didn't say anything good on them. I think they're a great team. I think they're good players. And again, I want to repeat myself, the gaps in NA are not as big as people think they are.
Truly,
but this one should be TSM. I'm not going to go crazy this time. I think they'll take this matchup. I think Soniqs will get some rounds. I think Soniqs will, go above most people's expectations, but I'm going to go with TSM for this time.
Jesse, I ain't even gonna lie. When you said DG earlier, I was like, and then we saw what happened. So,
wizard.
I mean, still mad props to you, yeah. All right, Veli, what are you thinking for your prediction?
They've had time to practice. They know what to expect now against TSM. I really have a thing for Soniqs. I don't know what it is. I can't really put my finger on it, right? We talk about the new people on this team and the sub with J90 and Iconics, but there's also one player that I haven't really said his name much of at all for the last 2 weeks, and it's going to be Easily. I feel like Easily is going to be one of the biggest X factors. He is a beast on his team, one of the most experienced players out there. He has a resume to show. I think Soniqs take this. I think this is going to go to a 3rd map as well. So I'm legitimately going with Soniqs as the upset team.
I actually like that argument, Veli. There we go. Okay, gentlemen, split again. Well, we shall see. TSM or the Soniqs. Oh my gosh, so excited for this. And for everybody watching at home, do not forget to follow us on Twitter and on Instagram. We also have our community poll coming up, and we know why y'all are here. Blue and stoked. So you want to see our casters, right? But yes, we got TSM versus the Soniqs up next. Don't go anywhere.
What's up, folks? My name is Jess Brohard, and I am here with Pooja Man, coach of TSM. So first thing I want to ask you is, I know you're back as the coach for the last month or so. So what's that month been like for you?
It's been a lot of work, but I thoroughly enjoy it, so it's been a good time. I got a good group of teammates, so.
For you, what's been the main challenge of coaching instead of playing?
It's a different challenge. I wouldn't say it's necessarily harder or easier. It's just a completely kind of different role. So the biggest challenge, though, I like preparing for the season. It's been a long road. So,
and on that long road, I know we've only had our first couple weeks of play so far, but talking about those couple weeks of play, it's been kind of a roller coaster. You know, you had 2-0'd Tempo Storm, is that right? And then you got 2-0'd by Dark Zero. So let's look at Tempo Storm first. What did you think of that 2-0 versus Tempo Storm?
I think we did decent. I think we made a lot of mistakes still, but we ended up finishing it out, which is what you need in the end. But I think we kind of worked on those mistakes, and I think we had a good series against Dark Zero, but ultimately they just kind of squeezed out a few more rounds than us, and they got a 2-0 as opposed to us. Both were really close maps, though.
Did any of those mistakes you mentioned making versus Tempo Storm, despite that 2-0, did any of those come into play in that series versus Dark Zero?
I felt like Tempo, we made a few more mistakes on attack as opposed to defense, and then when we played defense against Dark Zero, we really struggled. So I think we made different mistakes. DZ is a team where it doesn't matter how much you prepare for them, they're going to have something new and weird that you're going to have to deal with. So, I mean, I think we handled attacks pretty well, which is kind of where the weirdness came in. We just struggled to kind of not give them free kills on defense, and that kind of overall added up to a loss.
So then looking forward to your matchup versus the Soniqs this week, is there anything at all that's happened in the past that you're concerned will still be an issue versus the Soniqs?
No, I don't think so. We're pretty good at fixing mistakes pretty quickly. Like, we have a pretty good turnaround time. We see, like, okay, this is what we did wrong, this is what we can do it better. Do we need to be more aggressive, less aggressive, those kind of things. So we're pretty quick at fixing mistakes like that, so I don't think we should have any issues.
We've heard a lot from Super, and he's got all that confidence, and he seems like he goes into every match not really worried about anything. How confident are you feeling going up against the Soniqs?
I'm pretty confident. I think we're just an overall stronger team. I'm not sure if they've had a lot of like visa issues and stuff, which I think has made it a lot harder for them, which is unfortunate, but I think that definitely plays a factor in us being able to beat them. I think we would be fine anyway. I actually think they looked stronger with J90 and Lags as opposed to Slebin and Gomfy. I don't know why. I think they actually looked a bit less structured, which kind of helped them against certain teams. So I guess we'll see. But I think we handle either style pretty well. So
awesome. Yeah, I love that. You do seem pretty confident. You saying that you feel like you're a strong team versus them. So best of luck facing the Soniqs.
All right. Thank you.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting match here in the U.S. division of the North American League. My name is Blue, joining me here is Stokes, and we are just about ready to get started with our second match of the evening between TSM and the Soniqs. This one promises to be quite the interesting one. Much like our last match, it's very much a Titan versus Goliath situation here. Stokes, why don't you tell the folks at home all about it?
Well, there's a lot going on here, a lot to digest, specifically on the Susquehanna Sonic side there, John. And I think the person that I want to highlight the most is Iconic and how impactful he has been overall on this roster. I mean, coming in as a rookie and playing so well through these last two series that they've had, he's definitely put them in this seat to where they can possibly, break into Group A, which is something that we haven't seen the Soniqs do in a very, very long time. If we go back and look at all of their Pro League seasons that they participated in, they were never extremely successful. So this one is definitely an outlier.
Yeah, this one's been a very interesting season for many teams, TSM included. TSM also has had themselves a new shining star at the beginning of this season, most notably being Chala, who's jumped into the team and has been, without saying much here, he's been a massive contribution to the team over the past 2 weeks in their matches and has very much come out on top, especially in their first match. And that takes us to tonight's community question. Make sure you go ahead over to our Twitter at R6esportsNA and make sure you answer tonight's question. We'll have the results a little bit later on tonight. We want to know, which addition do you think has been more pivotal to the team? Has it been Iconic or Chala for TSM? Let us know at home what you think of that one. And even beyond these players, there's a lot more cool things to discuss with this matchup. TSM's been switching roles around a little bit, if you've noticed that over the past couple of weeks, and that's had kind of somewhat mixed results. Last week obviously looked a little bit more promising than the first week. Soniqs, of course, is still dealing with potential subs. Just to clarify that as well, Veli had mentioned that we might have their 5th member actually filling in. That is not the case. They still have J9O on the roster for tonight. And with that said, we can now take a look at the map pool for this matchup. Stokes, where do you think we're going to go for this
That's a really
one?
good question, John. We haven't had too many like maps that, you know, overlap with these two teams. I feel like we more than likely, especially with these two bands coming in right now, we might be going to Consulate. I feel like we could see that as a first pick. It's a strong map for most teams. It's a good comfort pick. It's been ran through so many times. There's nothing unorthodox that you're going to run into. And hey, we're going to get Consulate as our first pick.
Yeah, so Consulate's going to align pretty well with what we've seen from these teams over the past few weeks. No huge surprises there. Consulate being a very popular map. Theme Park is going to once again come into the pool here as Soniqs pick to bring into this map rotation, and then we'll get the final ones up on the board here in just a second as well. Theme Park, I think, is going to be the really interesting one for this matchup when you look at the results for both teams on that map over the past couple of weeks. Specifically looking at Theme Park for TSM, only managed to get one defensive round into that one and definitely looked a little bit more uncomfortable. The Soniqs obviously having much better results, but against an arguably, you know, a little bit lesser team in that they took on Tempo Storm for that one, and a team that they very much specialize in trying to take them out of those matchups. So with that being considered, going back onto it against TSM, the results are in terms of what we're going to get out of that matchup, and that map specifically is a little bit more up in the air, I think, and it, you know, poses an interesting question for this matchup.
Absolutely, and we're going to be rounded out by Oregon, so we're going to get both of the new maps again, Blue. So we'll have to see how these teams fare on that. We do have a couple of the stat lines from some previous maps on Consulate and Theme Park. Actually, the Soniqs are the only ones inside of this matchup that have played Consulate this season, and that's when they beat Dark Zero 7-4. So I feel like going into this, the Soniqs are in the lead. It's a good map choice for them, and we're going to be starting things up right now, folks. It's Consulate between the Susquehanna Soniqs and Team Solo Mid. Let's get right into it.
Let's get into it indeed. It'll be interesting to see how this map fares out, considering that it was TSM's map pick. I believe you mentioned before, though, and we only saw the Soniqs play into it, really, both teams having their chance to play into it. I do think, though, that this one could end up still being a great pick for TSM. When you consider the potential benefits that could come from their roam game. Obviously, when they get to the defensive side, as they'll be on attack first here. But enough about that. We're into the band. So far, everything going according to plan. Please note, if you're a new viewer or just tuning into this league for the first time, currently Echo is soft banned, so he is going to be banned out no matter the case. Capital, surprisingly, well, not too surprisingly for Consulate, but is going to be our second attacker ban, shifting away from the normal choice, which has been Maverick for the past couple of weeks now.
Good choice, especially for the offense and how they fare up against this offensive ban, like you were saying, that we've been seeing for a while. It's very difficult to get offensive rounds and open up hard destruction that you need when Mav and Thatch are both banned. But we're going to have Mav out, so we're more than likely going to be seeing a lot of him and a Jaeger ban. We've been seeing quite a bit of Wamai recently, but now we're going with the Jaeger. I feel like this is specifically for yellow upstairs, as well as, well, actually, really just that. His ADSs eat up more than Wamai does, and usually when we see Wamai banned, it's because of that deployable shield and where they're able to put that. Jaeger doesn't have one of those anymore, so you really don't have to worry about that when he is in play. But the only throwable denial that we're going to have throughout Consulate is going to be that Wamai, so be on the lookout for that.
All right, we're going to jump into the first round. Apparently, we're going right to split site. So not a huge change when it comes to the Soniqs. You guys at home might be a little more surprised by that one, seeing as that's not a site you would normally think of, especially coming off of just normal games. This wouldn't be your first choice of a site, but for the Soniqs, this has been something that they've been rolling with, at least since the last time we saw them play on this map. So not a huge surprise to see them go right back to it, considering things worked out pretty well for them in the match versus Dark Zero.
All right, well, now as we warm things up, as you're saying, the split site before that they went to, honestly, I feel like it's a good way to start the map is to use something that's very unorthodox, but a lot of the times, especially on Consulate, you see kind of a universal lineup brought for the offense just because of things like this, where you have to deal with multiple things. You really don't know what you're going to have to burn or how the setup's really going to go, where those Wamais are going to be, but well, at least for this time, they don't even have to worry about that. So all of these throwables are going to be confirmed no matter where they toss them. They're going to be able to go off. So that could help them out quite a bit, especially with Castle in play. That's going to make soft destruction a little bit easier.
Another important asterisk on this matchup, too, is the last time we did see the Sonics play onto this, Gomfi was not able to play on the roster as his visa hadn't been processed yet. If I remember it properly, they had lags playing for him in that matchup. So just something else to keep in your mind as you think about how that last matchup potentially compare to this one. Either way, TSM are out on the board and are quickly looking to try and get some control. The focus right off the bat here seems to be going upstairs into admin, but there's definitely a little bit of pressure in Visa on the first floor as well.
Well, drone clear upstairs now. Nothing too aggressive just yet, but they want to check to see where these defenders are lying. Have one on admin stairs, at least going to get the intel, but easily skates off very quickly to remain alive with that pulse. That cardiac sensor extremely important, especially for this site with the amount of intel that you can possibly get, but could have to deal with Bolo later on with that IQ scanner. Well, now that we're down to that 2-minute mark and we're working on all of this utility, TSM is actually making some pretty good headway here. Getting a lot of utility cleared. Bolo doing his job with that IQ scanner. Yes, I know she doesn't just have the G8. It's very, very surprising.
He's unfortunately 0 for 2 on actually trying to kill gadgets, though, because the metal bars have got the better of him here so far. Well, we'll see if that changes as the round goes on, as he's going to try to take out another one, possibly, over the next few seconds. Oh, actually found a player there for a moment, too. I don't know if he realized it was a player, though, but either way, he's going to go back to trying to punch out a couple of these gadgets through the floor.
Well, I believe he saw a pre-place there, and that was Super's Nitro Cell inside of the connector hallway. Bottom grass. Well, for now, the Sonics do a very good job of delaying time. No damage taken. They've had to shift gears quite a few times just to stay alive and rotate around, but TSM hasn't been able to corner them just yet. Still have plenty of top control here up inside of admin, but nobody transitioned to the mid floor yet. They need to be able to get the diffuser down inside of A, and that's the main game plan for now. Plenty of verticality, especially to block off the staircase, looking down into that from short. So now, as they're clearing out the rest of the utility, they just need to try and set up for this plant. But again, they have to expect multiple C4s to be going off here. We're actually going to have one burned onto some concrete, assuming that they could blow up somebody at the bottom of admin stairs.
Just under the 1-minute mark here as well. Time will start to get a little bit lower for TSM despite the great amount of control they got upstairs in the early round. So far, they've been unable to translate it into a plant, but they're getting very, very close as they now creep from the Visa stairs onto the site and try to go for the plant relatively soon. First kill of the round finally picked up, but it's immediately responded to by Easily on that pulse. Strikes true with the Nitro Cell and takes out the first player to try and walk to the inside of Tellers. Achieved in the meanwhile is successfully sneaking off a plant, but it gets canned at the last second. Still, though, Gomfi's going to be able to land his own Nitro Cell to pick up the kill. Bolo will be available, however, to exchange the trade a moment later. Third attempt now to try and put the diffuser onto the ground. Looks like it's finally going to be a success as Chala is the man to get things done, but immediately the rotates from the Sonics work their way up as this is still an even, now an advantage 3v2 fight to TSM.
What a shot from Bolo, puts Easily down from bottom spiral. It's all left up to Gomfi now on this 1 versus 3. Diffuser down for this post plant, obviously. Has one to worry about on spiral. That's going to be Bolo, that G8 sitting at the top. Oh, but a nice shot from Gomfi puts him in the grave. Still has plenty to go, but not very much time. Tossing and turning, but it doesn't even matter. Chala with some verticality upstairs, able to confirm the kill and their first round here on Consulate. But it seems that we're already going to have a rehost, so hopefully we just get him out of the way here early.
Yeah, we'll get that done really quick and hopefully very fast here, folks, but that is going to be a 1-0 lead for TSM, and we'll bring ourselves back on camera here for just a moment, folks, while they're going to work on getting that rehost done. A strong start for TSM, of course, not a whole lot to deep dive into on that specific map just as of yet, as of course we've only played through 1 round, but like I said, a promising start indeed. The question is, will it move forward? As that is still a non-traditional site, one that we have seen attackers win quite a bit in the past, and one that Sonics has also shown issues with trying to get a victory right off the bat on in the past as well.
And it really wasn't even a fumbled round overall by the Sonics either. The TSM just did a very, very good job of keeping things going and continuing the assault on trying to put a plant down. And that's really what won them that round. They didn't have to try and force anything for more kills. It was simply trade out the kill that happened and attempt to put that diffuser down again. You just have to withstand all the utility that's downstairs. They did a very good job of that, especially with their top clear as well, which we saw them take their time until they got to that mid floor. They didn't want to give any early impactful kills over to the defense, and I definitely think that's what was the difference for them overall inside of that round.
Yeah, thankfully they took their time, and more importantly, they were able to cut off quite a few rotates in the process of that. which left actually getting onto the site itself, at least on the first floor, a pretty easy matter for them once they had established that initial control. The problem was being able to get the plant down for the reasons that you had mentioned. There was still that good setup from Soniqs downstairs. Were able to deny 2 plant attempts with nitro cells. Did a great job of delaying as much as they could, but ultimately, yeah, the upstairs control TSM had gotten early in the round was translated into a lot of rotation denials that really came back to haunt the Soniqs members after the plant had finally gone down on what I believe was its 3rd attempt of being placed on the ground, or at least being tried to be placed in that room there after the first 2 nitro cell kills had gone
I'd be
off.
very interested to know how many times the Soniqs have went to Teller's archives, because the map stat right now through 3 plays, remember this is going to be the 4th for Consulate, it's only got a 33% chance of winning on the defensive side. The best one actually is Lobby Piano. You have a 90% chance of winning right now.
Yeah, and sometimes I'm trying to remember if in the DZ game they started off with that one or went right to split site. That might have been like a fatal error for them, was choosing to go for the split site instead of going for lobby, because I do remember the lobby hold being a lot better for them and usually them winning out that site a lot more often than not. But yeah, the split site is one that I've seen them start off with on the past, and it's very much had mixed results. So it's kind of something that it's an interesting look right now for the Soniqs. It's something that I'm sure they're going to take a look at themselves pretty soon here. But obviously, I've only seen it happen in just these 2 matches, so I don't want to spend too much time harping on it or anything like that.
Yeah, it seems that actually, yeah, you were correct. Very good memory, John. All the way back to the Dark Zero. Yeah,
that's actually a surprise. My memory's usually
all the way back to the Dark Zero versus Soniqs game. Very first round, Dark Zero Esports wins lobby piano attack by elimination.
Okay, so they did do that lobby one first.
Yeah, and then they went immediately into Tellers, which Dark Zero won again.
Yeah, so, okay, cool. So I'm remembering most of this correctly, I think. Yeah. But yeah, so an interesting choice from the Soniqs. Probably just thought specifically versus TSM that site would fare better. So going into this, assuming that first round is going to stay, in the match, I have no reason to, there's no reason why I believe it wouldn't stay in the match. But if we assume that we start out at that 1-0 marker, then I would almost immediately assume we're going to see Soniqs switch over to the lobby site as their second site choice for round 2.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. And as we've seen, the lobby defense has actually worked out very, very well for multiple teams. Well, and the other thing is for that site, I only think that we've seen Dark Zero win that for the NAL. Honestly, thinking back to it, that was when we saw that rush from Dark Zero through yellow, and they ended up winning that lobby attack, now that I think about it. Because they just openly rushed right into piano and put a diffuser down, but they ended up winning it off of elimination, I do believe. So yeah,
yeah,
so,
I think I remember that too.
I'm trying to run it through my head right now. We are just getting everyone back into the lobby, folks. So sit tight. We are just now sending out those invites. So if you guys need to run and grab some water or something like that real quick, make sure to do so. Stretch those legs, because we definitely have a possibility of this going the full distance. I don't think either team is resting at a 2-0.
No, definitely not going to be the case, although TSM, I think, would certainly like that to be the fashion which this matchup would go. They have the honor of having the first map picked, so if they are able to quickly close out on that choice and be able to take control of Consulate, assuming that Theme Park was a little bit better for them this week than last week, they would certainly take that 2-0. But that's the big thing, right? As we shift away from Consulate for a second here to talk about Theme Park a little bit more. The TSM, in my opinion at least, didn't really look that great on Theme Park, especially from their defensive side of things. Had a lot of trouble trying to lock down those rounds, and as a result, that came back to bite. And the attack definitely showing some better stuff, and their opponent also struggled with their own defensive rounds. That could have just been circumstances within the matchup itself. But for my circumstances, I wasn't necessarily feeling that way. It definitely looked like it was more team-centric issues and possible uncomfortability with the map. So we have to hope that doesn't come back to haunt them on map number 2, potentially trigger a map 3, assuming that they take Consulate.
Yeah, Theme Park really is the outlier here, because both teams have played on it, so they both have fresh VODs. But as we all remember, the Soniqs versus Tempo Storm, the 7-4 with the crazy 1 versus 5. Well, I mean, the Soniqs won that. So being able to go back and look through that and see where Tempo misstepped against the Soniqs are definitely going to help out TSM quite a bit, especially when they're going to be able to fix their own errors after already playing the map up against DZ. I can see Theme Park helping out TSM with a possible 2-0 if they're able to push it through Consulate.
Yeah, and those few missteps, like the 5v1 that ended up happening against them, was like a very small issue for the most part. Beyond that, we didn't really see the Soniqs make a whole lot of unforgivable mistakes in that matchup. Like I said, besides the 1v5, obviously that was a huge mistake on their part. But away from that, things did look pretty flawless, and as you said, they did win the map. With that said, though, folks, we're back into the matchup now. Here we go with round number 2. Like I said before, that first round does stick. The rehost call came in at the very end of the round, so obviously that one's not going to be redone. We're going to go into round 2. Sonics are going to make a bit of a fool of me, though, as they're not going to go directly to that lobby site. Instead, they're going to head downstairs into cafeteria and garage.
Not a bad choice at all. Headed downstairs, and a pretty unique lineup as well. This is something we don't see happen too often anymore. Obviously, it's still here and there, but not as big as we used to see it, or not as often as we used to see it. The Vigil Mute Mozzie combo. Vigil adding and helping a little bit with that lineup, and specifically we used to see it all the time because of the soft destruction that Mozzie has. His synergy with Mute and Vigil is insane. It's so incredible the amount of intel you're able to deny from the offensive squad, and that's exactly what the Sonics are going for. But they're not going to have as much soft destruction as they would once hope because of that secondary shotgun being removed. But you really don't have to worry about it when it comes to a lineup like this, just because you have Mute with that M590 as well as easily carrying those impact grenades. He's able to make rotates and assist just a little bit. So it's not nearly as bad as it once was, but it's still not nearly as much soft destruction as you would like when you have that super shorty.
All right, guys, well, here we go. We've got TSM out onto the board, just spawning a few seconds to go. Now it's time to see what type of impact can make. Now, of course, you guys that are newer to Siege, don't expect any crazy fights to be happening within the first few seconds. That drone phase the attackers get at the beginning often extends into the first minute or minute and a half of the round itself to gather additional intel, since the positions of the defenders, if they're even able to find any, or if they even want to risk their drones on the attacker side during that phase, sometimes the positional info that they get may be inaccurate, so it's better to wait until you're actually in the round to try and gather that.
I've seen easily on this Vigil as well. I'm talking a little bit about this operator lineup, but he's been such an influential player when it comes to this lineup throughout this entire season so far. But I think the thing that stands out the most for me for easily is the fact that he's got a 67% cost, a 0.79 KPR, but a survival rate of 17%. Think about that for a second. That man is willing to risk it for your team at any moment in time. If somebody has to die, it's going to be easily.
Yeah, I noticed that as well when I was checking out stats the other day. And yeah, very much seems like he's a player that's kind of going to be the guy that's first into the flames. He'll be the first one to jump into a fight, and if he takes the L on that 1v1, it's kind of like, you know, whatever thing. They'll just move on from it, continue the fight. And if I recall correctly, his entry record actually wasn't too bad either, so he's doing his job pretty well, despite the very, very low survivability rate, although I may be incorrect on the entry stat. Either way, TSM already making some progress, getting most of the first floor under their control. Though as you can see, there's still a little bit of resistance with Achieve getting hit there for about 20 damage or so. I don't know if he had already been damaged or not, but let's start swinging away at the rest of these floorboards, see if he can open up a kill potential here, but no, instead he's going to get a nitro cell to his feet. Gomfy will send him flying along with that hammer and knock Achieved out for the rest of this round.
Gomfy can definitely help him with that, can he, with some of those explosives, but we have the wall open now as well for TSM, so quite a bit of the hard work done. Now they just need to do the most heavy lifting part, which is get a diffuser down, but after Gomfy practically stumbles into sight, he's fried by Bolo inside of Cafe with a very nice bullet peek past White Van. But as the scoreboard continues to light up, it's the Sonics all over this offense as TSM nonchalantly walks into sight and gets hammered for it. Sonics find their first round, first defense, and tie things up.
You have to wonder kind of what inspired TSM to have the confidence or the intel to try and make a play like that. Bolo trying to go in on his own there, going down. You have to wonder if maybe the drone didn't catch that bullet hole or something like that, and then they just tried to commit the rest of the players to make up for it, and it didn't work out, or if there was some other mistake made in the process of trying to set up that execute. But either way, the execute does not go anywhere near the way the TSM had planned for it to go, and the Sonics mounts a pretty easy defense in basement, and are going to switch back over to split site for round 3.
Yeah, very, very easy defense. And honestly, they didn't even have to play the mid floor. We saw the Vigil get played, but Easley overall didn't have a big impact on the round. He didn't waste a bunch of time. There was nothing spectacular about the roam game, right? It was just the fact that TSM walked into garage and got decimated for it. But I definitely think it was off of some bad intel. I assume that they had a drone probably near the back of the garage and saw that yellow pillar and white van were both clear, attempted to push it, and they
didn't catch
exactly. They were immediately countered out by that, and that's the hard thing about Siege, is you have to worry about every little detail, all the way down to a bullet hole in a wall. You have to worry about all of it, because any of that could lead to your impending doom.
So that possible what seems like a minor mistake becomes a pretty big one for TSM and cost them a second round. We go to an even series very, very quickly, pretty much matching the reputation of what our analysts thought this game was going to be. Just a moment, we'll have TSM out on the board again. Like I said, we're on split site once more, so the overall setup is looking like it's going to be pretty similar here for the Soniqs. The castle barricades going up to the inside of Tellers to block off access here. And besides this, the defense still looking like it's going to be mounted primarily from downstairs, but we'll follow that up soon here as the castle barricades changing things up slightly.
Yeah, it looks like the Soniqs, as a last resort, want to go upstairs. Don't want to touch that thing with a 10-foot pole. They'd much rather go to split site once again, and that's exactly where we're going to end up. So, plenty of utility still. As you can see, Bolo walking around with his IQ scanner out, seeing all of those mute jammers and what have you. And it's his job, for the most part, to get rid of all of that utility, especially from that top floor. Plenty of soft destruction to be able to put some damage onto Pulse and get rid of all of that util. So for the Soniqs now, it's trying and slow this offense from upstairs. They did a pretty bang-up job of it last time, but as we previously stated, it wasn't the fact that they were very aggressive towards the upstairs area. It was just the fact that TSM did not want to uncheck a box. They didn't want to miss a step inside of their offensive attack to get that plant down. They did a very good job of locking down Spiral. That's a key point to being able to put that diffuser down. So it seems that they're going about things in a very similar fashion.
Achieved with a really smart read there. I don't think he actually saw the nitro cell getting tossed, but he saw the foot of the player that was going to throw it walking towards him and then suddenly stop, not in his crosshairs. So he was able to figure out, oh, wait, he's probably going to throw a cell at me. Let me back up and get out of here. And he backed up probably 2 seconds before he would have been put into a kill box there. So really good job by him to realize that and get out of dodge. Either way, still no kills as of yet. We're over halfway through the round now. Soniqs have continued the very passive streak from back when they played this site back in the first round. And looking at a very, very similar situation. And TSM, as a result, are very much going to be up against a similar wall here. If frag grenade runs through, no, it's not. It's actually going to end up hitting Achieved a little bit. As far as I can tell, no damage onto any Soniqs players, as it did not go down the metal bars correctly.
Well, some more drones warm up for TSM, attempting to see if sight is at least clear, but they're actually going to get some intel downstairs and where these areas are being played. Cardiac sensor out for Easily. He'll take a little bit of damage, but the sledge now swinging away at the floor. Easily throws the C4, gets one for his pleasure. That's Merc, 0-2 right now. So not having the best opening to this series, but hopefully he can warm up later. Plenty of intel for Easily now with this cardiac sensor inside of Tellers. But they still have to be able to put this diffuser down. Geo's going to warm things up and start that, but immediately gets off, trying to bait out any C4, and TSM once again brings those guns alive and starts fragging out almost every single member. But no, the Soniqs fight back. Iconic specifically with a 2K, rotates back up, Gomfy to the bottom of the stairs, and he's able to kill two. Achieved, surprised that he's even there. And the Soniqs with a successful round after what seemed to be nothing going in their favor. I mean, honestly, TSM got every opening frag they could possibly need, and Iconic just gets a 2K and throws the round right back into their favor.
Not only that, but Gomfy coming up on the flank at the end, just cutting him right into the back, including that final kill, which I'm pretty sure he started spraying while he was still hip firing, but he's still able to make that kill connect onto a headshot. Nice work by him on just the aim control right there, and that's going to set up the Soniqs to take the lead now at 2-1 so far on defense. Now they're going to shift over to lobby. And this brings back a factor that we were talking about before. They have a very, very strong record on lobby. There's a very good chance we could be looking at a 3-1 here if things continue to go as planned here for the Soniqs, and they continue to find impact with their Nitro Cell strats, which is once again going to come alive for this round. As you can see, 4 Nitro Cells still on the board, and the 1 reinforced shield for Super.
No barbed wire needed. Absolutely none. We don't need that.
Why slow them down, kill them?
That's a very good point, isn't it? Have you ever just tried killing the other team? You ever try that?
Just throw your big plastic block.
I just want my phone call. That's all. Just want it.
And then hit the win
Yeah,
button.
exactly. Well, the Soniqs with a pretty unique setup, actually. They're going to fully reinforce the garage downstairs in Consulate. So that means that multiple reinforcements aren't going to be used upstairs. And exactly. Thank you, Cyan. I appreciate it. All the way upstairs, they're not going to have any of the regular setup that we're used to seeing. Nothing inside a projector, no one holding connector / CEO or B2. None of that. They're going to give up the entire top floor. And TSM has been favoriting a top floor take this entire time. So it'd be very weird to see them attempt to go about this in a different fashion. Granted, they're going to have to play around that downstairs setup because of all the nitro cells that the Sonics have. That's what this entire setup's for. They want to get the intel off of J9, then huck those nitro cells upstairs and blow up anybody that's trying to put a diffuser down. So they'd much rather have multiple attempts at that than anything.
Bit of a retreatable setup for Super as well to play off of there behind the reinforced shield if he needs to. If you guys missed it before when we looked at him, he has the hatch to quickly run back down if he wants to try and get out of that situation when a fight presents itself. Now, he did just get spotted by the drone, so TSM know he's here. They can start to work on being able to isolate him out. TSM are also being very cautious of punch-outs or run-outs from the upstairs windows. You can see Bolo keeping watch on at least balcony and the admin window on the right side of the building just there. So definitely trying to make sure that they keep their eyes on that and prevent any unfortunate circumstances from happening if the Sonics want to get a little crazy here. Once again, though, a very slow start to the round overall, as TSM does not want to challenge the very site-focused setup that the Sonics have once again put together for themselves. They're very much staying back, only holding aggressive angles where it's absolutely necessary and can, for the most part, guarantee a kill against them. Right here, as Iconic right now is trying to take a safer wide peek, although he's going to set himself up for crossfire as he backs up. Well played by TSM to bait him into the window, as Chala lines one up from CEO to take him out through the paneling.
Extremely unfortunate event there for Iconic, but easily is able to get a refrag. Very pivotal as well. No more frag grenades and no more soft destruction from the sledgehammer for Achieve. So Achieve's going to be put on drone duty for the time being. Minute and 10 seconds remain. TSM's already got top control, but they haven't dealt with the downstairs presence from the Sonics, and this is where things could get quite sketchy. Still plenty of nitro cells on the field to be able to prevent. Granted, they've lost 2 with Iconic and easily both dying, so they only have 2 attempts at this. Merc with a very aggressive swing, and that seems to be, well, par for the course from what we saw earlier in our previous series. So Merc now inside of B1. Plenty of intel still for J9 downstairs as well. Nitro cell towards Blacktop. Does he get anything? He does, and that's the diffuser for Geo's body. So now TSM have to find a way to get this diffuser. Gomfi working his way up yellow, has one to worry about, but he's inside a piano. J9 tagging along as well for the ride. But now the mirror placement's working against them, and Merc playing it masterfully. A double kill for him, but J9, the sub, bring things back, at least as close as he possibly can. A 1 versus 2 now with the ump in hand, but not very many bullets inside of the magazine. He sprays wide, hasn't found anything just yet, rushes through the stun, but Shala's better, laying behind the piano, and TSM win their offensive attack.
TSM with, unfortunately, too much control to deal with, although we do get some great entertainment out of the nitro cells in that round, specifically the one that's thrown through the metal floorboards on an angle to the part which actually I don't even think had destruction, so it would have been impossible for the player that threw it to throw it onto the just ceiling on the basement there. It would have had to have gotten the kill that way and managed to make it sink so beautifully. Nicely done there. Unfortunately, it was not enough to net the round, and TSM still end up taking control to tie us up once again at 2-2 as we get ready to head back into the basement for the Sonics' first repeated site that they've won.
Very nice setup there from J9 inside of the garage. And overall, very well played from the Sonics to get that intel as well, to be able to stop that plant. That's actually the only safe place inside of that entire area to plant. So you can't plant near the piano. Anywhere else, it's all soft destruction. So you're definitely right in that assumption. So that entire blacktop area inside the piano.
That blacktop area.
Yep. So besides that, though, headed downstairs for the Sonics. 2-2 split so far, and TSM picking up both their rounds off of the back of diffuser plants. So the Sonics not the best when it comes to the post plant, but it does seem that inside of those rounds, it does tend to get down to the wire, either a 1 versus 2 or where the Sonics still have an ability to clutch. We haven't seen anything flawless or, TSM up 4 people over the Sonics. So I'd say that for right now, the scoreline's definitely telling the tale of the tape.
Either way, TSM more than likely okay with this scoreline given the current circumstances and their current siding on attack. Probably feeling a bit comfortable with the defensive side when they get to switch over. If they can manage to put a 3-3 on the board, they're probably going to be okay with that. It won't be elated or anything like that, but they'll take it. Either way, TSM starting things off. They'll open up piano window relatively quickly. It's looking like Merc is going to follow that up by taking out some of the floorboards here to possibly take a player out if someone had been holding close to the wall. Not going to be the case, though, as you can clearly see from the lack of outlines in the basement. Anything they open up here is just going to take out the wall reinforcements, which will get dealt with in a pretty standard fashion anyway, and allow for a fast breach onto the garage for TSM.
Where is literally everyone? Where is literally the entire team is not here. It was Super and Gomfi. We have a panel open. They don't have piano control yet, so that's a good thing for the Sonics. The Sonics on a very deep roam. They have everyone spread out through out this entire building. It seems that the Sonics really want to worry about that mid-floor blue. I think that that's the main reason that they're playing everyone upstairs with those hatches open. Drop into that mid-floor, try and win those gunfights and take away the vertical play from TSM. But the plant's already going down. Geo choosing an amazing spot. There's nothing to see through that smoke either. Oh no, he's right in front of you, sir. You're right next to him. He's planting in the smoke. Oh my, super. Not like this. The plant's down next to the black car, but they have no vertical play above it. This is possibly winnable for the Sonics. He's on the defuse as well. Somebody's got to stop this man. Super! He attempts to hold it, but TSM's all over the situation. A little bit too far off of sight for the Sonics, and the TSM capitalizes on the situation. What are they? The Ohio State, Sam? What are you talking about? Like...
Well, where the first attack was a mistake and lack of intel from the attackers. This time it's a lack of intel from the defenders, not being able to realize the plant had gone down on the inside of that smoke, and more importantly, not being able to hold back the stem of utility that was being thrown in against them there, especially the Ying charges that had been thrown out there to try and blind them in the back sight. And then, of course, you just have the setup itself from the defender's side. Like you said, nobody playing in the site itself. A lot of players holding either on the mid-floor or upstairs. Made it very easy that time. Now that TSM had a good, had a good amount of intel on what the site setup looked like, made it very easy for them to go in and try to rush that plant in the way that they did.
Well, the thing specifically about that round in the operator lineup, right, is that they bring all of this info denial so that they can roam through Consulate. There's a lot of staircases and obviously a lot of area to work with, and bringing the mute and the Mozzie helps a lot, especially when you're Vigil. You're able to hide practically, 80% of the round, I would say. You can make it through without getting... your immediate location always known, which is very, very nice. Being able to rotate around, no one knows it has an exact beat on you, so you're able to be a lot more impactful, get those rotates that you need, all that kind of stuff. But for TSM, I think that they more than likely found out the Sonics were on the top floor. They may have had a pre-placed drone from the prep phase upstairs and saw that there was more than likely 2 to 3 people upstairs at the time, and just chose to hit site instead because there's no one downstairs to stop them. Now, I also push this onto you to think about. Think about a world where Super uses the cardiac sensor right there. That completely changes the entire round.
Yeah.
But the thing is like also that's nitpicking when it comes down to it, right? Who's going to use a cardiac sensor when you're playing pipes, for God's sakes, right? But
yeah, especially with like how many angles you're exposed to right there.
Exactly. But I mean, hey, they're going to continue to bring it. This time it's in J9's hands. They got some good intel. They know it's an admin east to west, Claire. Very standard here on Consulate.
And TSM have gotten used to the relative lack of presence here when going up against this site, so they are going to, very quickly take that admin control. As you see, TSM already pushing themselves past break room. It's going to keep the Sonics roster locked in the basement for the most part here. Once again, focusing their defenses entirely on that. If you haven't been able to pick up on the 4 Nitro Cell setup that they've once again brought to the table. And to be fair, that setup has been working for them quite well, especially on the split site here. But now they need to try and bring it back and at least tie this up 3-3 for halftime and taking another lobby round. Otherwise, they could be in trouble going on to that attacking side. So far, though, once again, no action in the early round, although that may be changing soon, though, as some shots start to ring out.
Well, top floor locked down for TSM. Chala already expending 2 of those air jabs to lock down the staircases, so have free range to break up this entire floor. Bob the Builder cosplays everywhere. Make sure to break all that up, see what you can get for that vertical play, and might have a possibility with J9 specifically playing downstairs. We could get some pretty interesting lineups. Could also blow open the bottom of short desk. Oh, is he working his way up? He is, but there's an air jab there. He's going to blow him through the teller's wall. Are they ready for Gomfi, though? Pre-fire, Gomfi's going to swing. Can he possibly get him on the tailcoats? He does. That's Chala. No more air jabs, so he's down 1, and they've already expended 1 as well. J9 gets a kill, but it's Merc. Merc with the double kill. He works in through tellers downstairs. Comes in for the flank. He's like a ghost. He finds these kills, these most impactful kills, at just such an opportune time. What a rotate from Merc, especially after what this season's been for him so far. This is exactly what you want to see for TSM.
All this action going down. Still 45 seconds left within the round itself. Easily trying to rotate out and prevent a push in through the front door. He is supported by that mirror window at the moment here. So Bolo specifically, who's going to be the one to move in, has to be very careful about this. Quickly tries to hug the left flank. Left Geo drop down from upstairs to assist him. That player in bathroom still very much a factor, though. But the good news is they got the diffuser in. They got it past the player in bathroom. And he knows it. Easley's been forced outside. Is attempting to swing against the plant. Nitrocell's going to go in, but even if it gets the kill, yeah, it got the kill. It's going to be too late, though. Plant's on the ground. Now they've got to work for is the man advantage, but they do have to retake. Bolo immediately evens the situation back out into a 2v2, and now has strong watch over the hatch. At least one player from the Soniqs is considering peeking it. It's Iconic. Takes a lot of damage initially and tries to re-peek it. Merc, meanwhile, will pick up the final kill elsewhere on the map. I believe somewhere near Yellow or Spiral. And with that, TSM are going to claim the final round of the half.
Kind of a weird instance there from Iconic, but overall a great round from TSM, specifically Merc. It's nice to be seeing him playing so well right now. Again, after what we have been seeing from him and comparing his stats from season 11 to how he's been doing thus far throughout this entire season, and it's not even the fact that Merc has been playing terrible, right? It's just the fact that Merc isn't playing like Merc, and everyone got so used to Merc playing so well that now you hit a little bit of a slump and everyone's like, oh my God, you're terrible. You're not terrible at the game at all. Merc is one of the most impactful players on this entire roster. I mean, if you go back through all of their stats, he was the only one last season, if you didn't know, to eclipse 20 entry kills inside of all of North America. All of it. The only one to eclipse 20. 20 and 9 plus 11 last season. No one was even close, but this season he's had a little bit of a slower start. He's -5 on entry, but it seems that he's bringing things back. It's not that Merc was lost; it was just the fact that TSM's trying new things, especially with Chala now in. Obviously, there's going to be a little bit of a growing room or growing pains really for Merc, but I feel like overall he's still been a very, very impactful player this season, even though that the scoreline doesn't show it.
All right, guys, well, only a few more seconds left here. In just a moment, the Soniqs once again going to be let out, well, once again for the first time, I should say, going to be let out onto the board on the attacking side of this. TSM will be defending on the inside of lobby for their first defense, so continuing the trend with the not necessarily, meta sites, but at the same time, these sites have started to slowly become meta if you start to look back at more recent play within the last few months. Piano and lobby becoming a more and more common choice for teams to start off on, and nothing wrong with that. Soniqs, of course, still focusing a little bit of their efforts on the drone work in the early round here, trying to get a good idea as to what the setup looks like inside, and now, as well, being able to get some info on what's sitting behind this garage wall that was reinforced, that Easley and crew can start to work their way in. The first kill of the half, though, is going to go to Merc, as he manages to catch Iconic from the connector window between the two sites. He's going to try to go for number 2 here as well, and nearly gets it. J9 being brought down to just about 30 on another spray that comes out from Merc.
This is very, very scary because this is starting to look like the Merc show. He's 8-1-3 right now, and he's still being very aggressive even on a Mira, peeking those south windows, and it's actually been working out for them quite well. Achieved, prepping a window on the bottom of admin, and overall the Soniqs making a little bit of headway. This is a very similar setup to how the Soniqs play this site, so they should know what's going on. Really, the only difference is that TSM has a dedicated upstairs setup, mainly inside of that connector with that mirror window. So the Soniqs have quite a bit of map presence to worry about from TSM. As we continue on into this round, though, plenty of drones being destroyed. The info game for the Soniqs quite low right now. We only have a few drones that can still possibly be used. Right now, actually, we only have what looks to be 2 active drones, unless Iconic was able to have any drones down before he died.
So another hop out going to work its way out, this time from Achieved, and he strikes true. Problem is he's going to be traded, but it's a bait setup, as Bolo is also able to pop out from an upstairs window and retrade the kill that they just lost. Super gets his team back into it quickly, though, as he manages to find Chala and take him out, bringing the count for TSM down to just Bolo, Merc, and Geo in order to clutch against Super and Gomfi. Gomfi, by the way, working himself way upstairs, trying to potentially knock out Bolo, finding the trade from that earlier lost player outside. Will he manage to strike true, though? That's the question. Gomfi, of course, being very careful about this. That kill happened eons ago in Siege terms. It's very, very hard to decipher where this player may be, especially when you consider, again, the lack of drones. Now, it should be noted, Gomfi has one, but nonetheless, Bolo is going to hold strong. He's going to be able to take out Gomfi, bringing the count now for the Soniqs. Just to 1 player here. It's Super against 3, still standing tall for TSM. And unfortunately, time is also getting low for Super here. 15 seconds remain for him to try and swing into this. He does his best, but is unable to locate the head of Geo. He'll pick up the last kill, and TSM will claim their first defensive round.
Great round overall by TSM. I loved the aggression from the lobby area and how they were able to make it more of a team action or team activity, I guess, with their site players upstairs or with their players upstairs. Overall, an amazing setup as well from TSM. Really liked what they did to the upstairs area. Love what you've done with the place, you know. So overall, the Soniqs not having a very good time when it comes to attacking that mid floor there. And specifically for the Soniqs, I feel that the error was where they were attempting to go for the picks. It seemed that the team was very, very spread. TSM wanted to go for those gunfights earlier into the round just to push man advantage into their favor. And Soniqs were not positioned for that. They weren't positioned for refrags or anything to truly happen to them outside. And even some of those, granted, they weren't the best gunfights or even purposeful gunfights, kind of like the iconic situation with Merc on that anti-chamber window. But it all fell into the lap of TSM and able to clean up the post area in that round to push it to 5-2. Overall, a great showing from TSM so far.
Into another round and into another, what a lot of people would consider an unorthodox site. Like we said, these have been slowly shifting into the meta, especially when it comes to these types of matchups. And we're once again going to see split site come out for TSM. I would imagine that they'll defend it largely in similar fashion, what we saw from the Soniqs, minus the, well, actually, no, not minus the 4 Nitro Cell strategy. They're bringing that to the table, too. I just saw Bolo, thought maybe we would have something else from a few of the other players, and that's clearly not the case. Bolo will bring the motion sensors, however, so that will be the one true difference in secondary utility. Besides that, the plan is pretty similar to what the Soniqs were doing for this site as well.
It's a very interesting utility as well, right? The proximity alarm is actually really, really cool. I've seen a couple of plays with it so far throughout all of PL and all the different iterations that we now have. But the main thing that I've got taken away from it is that it's actually really good to confirm C4s and stuff like that. I saw a couple setups where they would put it near like default plant, and then when it beeps, you blow the nitro cell up. Very, very cool idea, to be completely honest with you.
It makes like pre-placing C4s a lot more viable too, especially if it's like underneath or something like that, I think, just because you could line it up real quick for that. And as long as you're in range of the audio cue, then obviously it's going to work out pretty well for you. So I'm going to be curious to see how that potentially evolves as the months go by and as we start to see that utility become a little bit more commonplace and people start to figure out better strategies for it. Once again, though, time's going to start out here, and they're going to start out pretty passively, as is often the case in Siege. Soniqs once again preparing to get intel and preparing to make as much map control safely as they can before attempting to try and take this downstairs area, or at least pressure the defenders to a point where they can't actually contribute to stopping the upstairs push.
Still plenty of utility for the offense as well. The only things that have been expended is most of Iconic's utilities, down to concussions and one breaching charge. Still have all of the stuns for most of the offenders. We've now used one air jab, but we're already a minute and 20 seconds through this. We need more kills, and that's exactly what needs to happen. J9 with the opening frag, and that's who you want to get off the board right now. Merc dead, so don't have to worry about that any longer. Although J9 and the rest of the Sonic squad still upstairs, trying to find something, but they're quickly going to transition down admin and into tellers. This is a time for them to try and put this plant down, but that doesn't seem to be the game plan now. So they're slowly working their way down into the locker hallway, but that proximity alarms went off. Oh my God, no way! He does it off of the Mira, but it's a trade in between both of these teams. Achieve still has presence downstairs, but the plant's already going down. His time's being wasted. Eastley's going to get the plant. Oh no, it's into the post plant now for the Soniqs, but no, it's going to be Iconic that actually gets burned up downstairs. They now have all of this vertical play to worry about. Almost a nice kill. It was the umps for the defense, but now it's all down to Achieve with that cardiac sensor. He's gonna have to try and find something with this. He needs some intel to work with, because right now he's dead in the water. This plant's down, slowly ticking away. Remember, folks, you need 7 seconds to defuse here. Stun grenades now pour in, but the bar is gonna do a very good job of playing catcher as that nitro cell goes off, but it seems that he was trying to possibly mask the noise. Not going to work out, though. Super with the vertical play, and the Soniqs finding their first offensive round.
Soniqs decided they are the true split site kings there and wanting to make sure that they can confirm that title with a victory on the attacking side. Certainly the case, at least for the time being, on this map between these two teams. And we'll start to see if they'll go back to that or change up sites. And it's looking like it's going to be a change up in site for TSM instead of re-attempting that, given how easily Soniqs were able to sweep out the downstairs defensive setup, which is usually not even to be touched in those sorts of situations. So great work by the entry team there on Soniqs on being able to not only work their way downstairs, but for the most part, come out of it in clean fashion to maintain great control of the two sites. We're going to be going to basement next year for TSM.
I think the thing for me in that last round is when the utility was used for the offense and how quickly it went down. As we were talking about that minute 20 mark, they still had quite a bit of utility on the offense to still use and set up for, cutting off rotations and trying to burn through ADSs and not ADSs, but Wamai discs and what have you. Granted, they really didn't have to worry about that too much, but the ability for the Soniqs to put all of that down immediately and get that plant almost right thereafter is very, very good overall from the Soniqs. This is something of a team that's very, very coordinated, right? You usually expect them to be using utility simultaneously to either get picks or to open up areas of the map that they need. And overall, an amazing showing from the Soniqs, especially in their utility management.
All right, guys. Well, next round going to get started right here. The Soniqs, once again, let out onto the table here. We are into the basement here now for the Soniqs, and there is active wall denial being brought, which is a bit more of a rarer thing nowadays, and especially attempts to actively trick it out, just due to how dangerous it usually is for that defender trying to do the tricking. There's a lot of ways for the attackers to easily get full control of at least the area behind the garage wall and have a guaranteed opening that doesn't involve the use of Thatcher.
And that's the scariest thing about this garage site is there's so much vertical play if you end up getting control of antechamber and piano, and that's why we see a lot of sledge brought now on this map. You used to see Buck quite often, but as everyone's grown used to, he doesn't have frag grenades anymore. He's been neutered. He lost both of those, so now Gomfy going to be rocking the sledge more often, and most teams are as well. But what in God's name was that from J9? What a recovery. Bolo almost having two, but a quick adjustment. What a play overall, and nice trade between these two, but definitely going into the favor of TSM. Getting rid of Gomfy is huge here. That hinders a lot of soft destruction, and as long as TSM is able to hold onto this bathroom for an extended period of time, Soniqs are going to be in a pretty bad spot.
Yeah, I mean, not only that, right, but if say if both of them go down there and Bolo stays alive too, that could have been like nearly round over almost right there in that sort of situation, because they're not going to be able to necessarily get that great vertical control. They're not going to be able to clear out roamers. There's just so much stacked up against Soniqs at that point if they lose those two players that early in the round. So that was a massive save for J9. Oh, not only for himself, but for the rest of the team too. And now we're going to get to see if his teammates will be able to help out and finish the job here to be able to close out on the round. Maybe he can help out a little bit too, although at 30 HP, his contribution amount is going to be quite limited here, unfortunately, even with crazy aim like he just showed us there on that last kill.
Well, the good news is that we do still have soft destruction for the offense. Iconic and J9 will now don the mantle and try and break up as much of that floor as possible. Achieved, gonna miss a free B, but not nearly as free. About a pixel for him to try and slide a bullet through, so ends up missing on that one, but still plenty of round for TSM to hold on to. 48 seconds remain as the Soniqs are trying to figure things out. They have piano control now, but they were just waiting on the hard destruction. Easily with this very last exothermic charge, blows open panels 2 and 3, so looks like it's favoring towards a white van plant here. Gonna blow up the shield on pipes as well, and J9 ready for that. Pre-fires Merc, and Merc peeks right into the bullets. A hail of gunfire isn't exactly what you want to put your face into, but that ends up being the exact thing that happens. We need a plant now, though. Easily going to be on job for that. About halfway through the plant at the front of White, but kills Flurry. Doesn't even matter, though. Easily diffuser down now, but they already know where he is. Achieved the only man remaining inside of sight. He's able to pick up the kill onto Easily, but has two to worry about. And the dangerous part is they're both on vertical play, so he's going to be fighting from downhill, and as we know, if you're all Star Wars fans, usually the high ground ends up getting the kills. We'll see what is going to go on for them. Achieve continues to fake the plant, or fake the defuse, but definitely not working as the Sonic continuously peek and peek and peek. But finally, Iconic gets the kill. Plenty of time waste there for the Sonics onto Achieved, but Achieved not able to make too much happen. The Sonics find their basement attack round.
Yeah, Chief trying to do a couple tricks there to maybe open up his chances to close out in the 1v2. Does have some good patience to at least guarantee the kill against the planter, but that 1vx is just so hard for him to try and even have a chance of winning at that point unless he goes super aggro, which he's still in the same situation even if he tries to do that. Really have to give credit again to the first in team here for the Soniqs. J9 saving that situation upstairs and even going on to contribute himself with another kill before he finally got picked a couple seconds after he found that second one. Massive contribution once again coming in from the sub on Soniqs. It's not to be understated.
It seems to be that the offense here on console between these two teams is highly, highly likely to win when it comes to post plants. Almost every single round by both of these teams on their offensive sets have been won in post plant. The only one that wasn't was the lobby offense from TSM, where they cleaned up the Soniqs pretty quickly for their last round of their offensive set. So now, though, as we're warming things back up in round 10, we're going back to lobby. So let's see how Susquehanna Soniqs fare up against an attack on this. When it came to them holding it, though, not the best job. They ended up losing both of those rounds. So I have to see, once again, how this ends up going for them.
Well, for TSM, the setup will be onto the lobby site yet again, although that's not going to mean that they won't have any upstairs defense, as it's often been like potential for the defensive team to be able to have control up here. Once again, this is going to be quite a bit of emphasis being put onto it. You can't really defend actively in a few of these rooms, especially lobby itself. Very hard to put yourself directly inside of that, except at the very bitter end of the round when things are going to go pretty chaotic. So much like many of the other sites, we'll see emphasis placed on another floor, this one being upstairs here for TSM now, to try and delay the attackers as much as possible.
Well, similar setup to what they were having last time upstairs, and it looks like they'll have another, but again, the Soniqs blowing open the garage very early on here, and well, seems that we had a little bit of a mishap. The far left panel doesn't blow open on the garage so easily, is going to have to use both of his exothermic charges. The good news is, though, on this site, you don't exactly need hard destruction when it comes to attacking it. It could be helpful if they ended up getting control of Z or something along those lines, but that's probably not going to happen when it comes down to it, just because that's mostly what teams set up for. Play somebody on yellow, make sure that they can't get grass/Z control. It's very dangerous if you end up letting that go through. So now for TSM, though, they don't have to worry about any hard destruction. Merc's been down, though. Let's see if anyone is able to make a mad dash and pick him up. I don't know if the Soniqs are aware, but they are going to have a drone in. So frag grenade coming through. Frag grenade pours in. It doesn't get the kill. It does. Iconic and Gomfy picking up 2. Geo, though, with a very quick one onto easily.
Ends up being a great bait at the end of the day, too, having only downed him with the first frag grenade as it brings his teammate in. They managed to get a 2-for-1 out of that one, so not bad at the end of the day. Also, that was one of my worries with the unfortunate, I think it was a bug that we had there with the Thatcher charge, or the Thermite charge, excuse me, was that we weren't going to be able to try and flush out Mir from that position on the inside, but thankfully they were able to deal with that in another way, so that concern kind of dealt with itself. Things are continuing to go well for the Soniqs here as they just picked up another kill for themselves.
Well, as the Soniqs slow things down, plenty of control over the map. No vertical play to worry about either, even though it's mostly a shell setup right now. Nobody playing upstairs, but the offense doesn't have control. So we could see a rotate from Chala. Chief's now been downed. It's into the 1 versus 4 here for Chala. He's been so clutch, but not today. I'll just stop it right there. Stop the words. Chala, I'm sorry. Very unfortunate. Very nice shots from Iconic, though. What a shot from through the wall as well. Just saw the pixel of him moving around the corner through the soft destruction and ends up putting a bullet in his brain. So that's going to bring us to 5-5 now, folks, as the Soniqs are making a mad dash through this offensive half.
Yeah, Iconic hitting some winners there at the end of the round. Nicely done by him, and nicely done by Soniqs in general. Barely even had to take any map control, to be completely honest. At the end of the day, TSM kind of overplayed their hand when we started out with, I believe it was Merc that went into a down state towards the beginning. They lost their Mira a few seconds after that, and things just continue to tumble out of their control very quickly. At the end of the day, ends up being a pretty straightforward round for the Soniqs, with them not even really having to take a huge amount of map control in order to start the plant and push the round to that final situation where they close out the last couple kills. As you said, 5-5, another tie game at this point, but with only 2 rounds to go, and only one team can take them. Overtime is certainly a possibility in this matchup, much like it was in the last.
Yeah, for TSM, that round is basically a wash, isn't it? After that interaction inside of Antichamber, it's like, okay, you got 2 people off of 1 frag grenade, basically, right? And then you just pour another one in, clean up 2 kills. Again, it's kind of a wash for TSM, because at that point, you're already down man advantage. It's not the fact that there's like, okay, we need to reset, just give them the round, but it does get to a certain point where it's, okay, they have man advantage, they have multiple angles cut off, we really can't rotate anywhere. this round is more than likely lost. And that was the really big issue with that round, was just kind of the blunder in Antechamber. But now we're headed back towards the split site, and this seems to be the most favorable site for both of these teams. We've been seeing a lot more splits in lobby than we have been seeing anything else. We haven't even seen CEO yet.
Very true. It seems like I'm getting to a point where that site might be kind of like too played out at this point, and teams just don't feel comfortable going to it anymore, as they may not feel there's any room to innovate beyond the current issues that affect defenders on that one. So that could be the reason why.
I'll raise you one. I'll raise you one.
Yeah.
I guarantee it's because of the Jaeger ban.
Yeah, no, that could very much be it too when you think about the amount of windows that are there.
Having Womai on a timer base instead of being able to put down all of those ADSs, that's going to make Yellow executes crazy easy for the offense.
Well, not only that, right? The Womai is going to be such an easy target because he's going to have to constantly move around to try and pre-place a lot of those. And it's going to take him like well into the round to try and get enough of them down everywhere. So with that said, assuming that he's trying to cover everything, that means there's a lot of chance for him to get caught, just crossing between rooms or something like that if he does have to reposition to do that at some point. That's another reason why you may not see that.
It's also nice to have Womai walk a lot just because he has the best walking animation in the game. So just make sure to hold your discs out, folks. Make sure to hold that frisbee. Anyways, the Soniqs now taking top control, and they've done a very good job of attacking this site so far. Split, the last time they ended up attacking it, got that diffuser down, and it seemed to go similar to how TSM was in the fashion that they took this site. Take your time, get rid of all of the utility you possibly can, burn as many nitro cells as you possibly can, and then attempt to put a diffuser
Nobody
down.
can win versus metal bars today.
It's so bad. It's so bad. But I think it's intentional.
So many
I think it's
IQs.
intentional. I think the defense is putting them in a fashion to where it's very hard for IQ to get them off of that bar. I think so.
Very much could be the case, and so far it's working out if that's the situation, because both between Bolo and J9 that we just saw, man, these guys are not having the best of luck with trying to line up their shots beyond those middle bars. Obviously, it doesn't affect a huge amount going into the end round a lot of the time. Just a funny little factoid that I've noticed so far throughout this matchup. Either way, time is starting to get low within round number 11 here, and the Soniqs need to come closer to trying to find themselves a plant. Have a lot of info going in. They see the plant attempt. There's the first nitro cell. An attempt from Easily to run away is made, but it's not going to be enough. Bolo also picks one up with the ump itself to eliminate Gomfi. So far, things are still going well here for the defensive side on TSM to try and take another split site round. Only 23 seconds left for Soniqs to start another plant attempt.
Where things are going to get very difficult. What a shot from Bolo, though, to make it even more difficult. And yet another. He was ready for the drop. Super! No! Doesn't even matter. J9 put in the dirt as well. All that come for the king shall perish. Bolo and his teammates don't even care about their names. Continue on and push this to 6-5.
Very well played from Bolo. Great intel and or game sense coming from him right there, as he's able to line up all three of those kills pretty much perfectly. And that specific instance right there does bring back some worries. We saw a clutch happen last week at the expense of Soniqs due to the fact that they were giving the last man alive. That was Crazy's 1v5, of course. They were giving the last man alive a bunch of individual 1v1s, and the same exact thing just happened right there. So while it was very late in the round, and prospects for Soniqs to close out were probably pretty low at that point anyway, they do need to be careful of situations like that, as that's how he's allowed to pick up all three of those kills in succession. He gets them in very separate times, so he's able to isolate them and pick them up on a one-by-one basis.
Yeah, overall, that last little interaction there, you really can't blame the Soniqs for trying, right?
Oh yeah, like obviously, right?
You have to get something going, right?
Yeah, but still, it's just something I noticed where it's like, okay, be a little careful of that, because that's how you lost that 1v5 too. And you don't want something like that happening in a round where you obviously would have had greater prospects to actually win.
No, I definitely think you're well within reason to at least try and give them some warning, right? Hey, let's slow things down just a little bit. We don't want to toss this around. We want to try and find our way back into it. But I don't think anyone. Well, obviously there's going to be some people because TSM's strong. Like the entire fan base shows up for every single game. It's truly insane. But no one expected Bolo to be that perfect in that instance to where he knows where everyone's going to be coming from. He has to make a misstep somewhere, right? Well, in that interaction, no, you're wrong. He did everything correct. So sometimes it's as simple as that. It's as simple as they were perfect and you weren't, and no one can be perfect all the time. So Bolo, though, now 14-1-5. What a scoreline.
And a very fair counterpoint from you there. Quick attempt to open up the garage wall this time to Soniqs, and it's looking like it's going to go off without too much delay here. Merc, unfortunately, as far as I can tell, wasn't anywhere near the wall at that point, so didn't have much of a chance to stop it. Yeah, we can see he's already back behind yellow pillars, so not really anything that Merc would have been able to do in that sort of situation. It all happens just way too quickly and is far too overwhelming to try and stop it there. Soniqs now with the wall open, must figure out how to get into the site.
Oh, what a shot from Merc. A mad dash towards pipes, but along the way, he stops by to kill Iconic before finding some safety. Nitro Cell out the breach, doesn't bag anything, not even a little bit of damage. We did have Super 6-pick off of that Nomad, if you guys just got back as well from that split. He's now on the Ying. So as Goffy bags the equalizer here, that's a big frag as well. Bolo off the board, most impactful player on the defense right now when it comes to the fragging department. But Merc is no slouch when it comes down to that. Granted, no Nitro Cell, so won't be able to stop Plant unless he goes for the heads-up face check and tries to shoot that man in his face. Minute and 35 for the Soniqs to at least attempt to get some vertical control here. It doesn't even seem like they really want to, though. It seems that they want to try and smoke through this and go for a very, very quick attempt. Merc's been taken away as well. Where's that diffuser? It's on J9's. It's in J9's hands. Morkandel is in. Super, you gotta be awake, son. Oh no, he could have possibly gotten two there. Didn't see the guy on yellow pillar in time. At least able to get that kill. It's all down to Geo, but it doesn't even matter. J9 and specifically the G8 take down Geometrics, and the Susquehanna Sonics stay in this one.
A straightforward but very solid execute from the Soniqs. As you said, keep them in the matchup now as they start to bring things back under their own control and push us into what you see before you now. Overtime between the two teams, just like our last match. It seems like this one's going to go the distance as well. Right from the first map, we get thrown into OT. So for those of you who do not know how it works, it's 3 rounds. First to win 2 takes the map. And the sides will switch every single round now instead of on 6 rounds as it did during regulation.
Listen, if NA is going to keep going this way, we're going to need an energy drink sponsorship. I don't care who it is, but we need one. We absolutely. I went through so many cups of coffee inside of NA Playdays. It's insane. It's truly insane. I feel like every time that we get to the desk, John, it's like, hey, you guys are going to be here till 1 a.m. It's like, okay, all right. And it's not bad at all. It's cool, so entertaining, right? But you get done, you look at the clock, and you're like, oh my God.
Well, either way, we're not going to shy away from the site trends that have been prevalent throughout this map. Split site is where we're going to go right back to yet again. It's been the favorite for both of these teams, the Soniqs and the TSM on defense. Or just TSM. I'm like the Ohio State.
The Ohio State University.
Yeah, I just did it with TSM. But yeah, Soniqs are going to go right back into this site as their first choice in OT. We'll see how well that fares for them, considering the trouble that they faced at the beginning of this match.
Can I just say something about that? Why does Ohio State get the? Why? Did they just give it to themselves and everyone was like, yeah, you can have it? Like,
I don't know enough about sports or like, collegiate stuff.
I don't know. I really want the answer though. That's definitely something that I need to know.
Someone will probably tweet it.
No, don't worry about it. I'm well aware. I'm well aware of how this works now.
Someone will send you a Wikipedia article or something like
My
that.
entire DM request list is going to be like the history of Sheev's life and how it was very short and he got blown up from a Nitro Cell on Repel. So overall, an amazing start to the round from the Soniqs, but the TSM not doing so hot.
No, unfortunately not. Not much achieved, unfortunately, can try to do about that except for going for a quick, fast rappel down to maybe dodge that, but don't even think he managed to see that thing before it blew up in his face, so not much fault on Achieve for that one, but a very, very nice toss from Iconic. We're getting so many good Nitro Cell kills. Just Nitro Cell kills alone have made this game pretty entertaining. J9 with a runout, I believe, also going to be able to pick up a second for the team. Nicely done. Runs out that front door, and just a quick flank to take out. I think it was murked right there.
Well, only 1 minute expended so far and plenty of action already going on between these two teams. Merc and Achieved. Yeah.
I like it. It's a big change up in pace from the Soniqs, given what they had been doing in regulation, right? They were pretty passive. They kind of just let TSM take a lot of top control. Maybe had 1 or 2 roamers to try and delay them, but never was really actively trying to take fights up until this point. So that's a pretty big switch up, and obviously TSM really had no reason to expect it.
Yeah, completely agree with you, and especially with who they were able to bag as well for kills. Getting Merc and Achieved off the board, specifically with what side they're going to, that really hinders that soft destruction. You're not going to use any exothermics or anything like that to try and blow open the floor either. So it's going to be on to Bolo to try and break up most of that flooring and find some angles that are very, very important. The crappy thing is that he only has 3 chies or 3 angles that they can possibly blow open. So now though, the Soniqs so far on this defense doing a very, very good job. All except for, well, J9, who's taken quite a bit of damage, but he's gotten a kill and helped his team out throughout this round. Now, though, it's down to TSM to attempt a plant here. They don't have much pressure downstairs. That's what we see the Soniqs do on these offenses. Try and rush into lockers and get some kills to stop any nitro cells from blowing up. But they feel what seems to be well off enough, but it's definitely not going to be enough, as Iconic almost goes for 3. It's Geo remaining, and he's got quite a few kills to try and get. Quite a bit of damage dealt to the Soniqs, but it's not even going to matter. Gomfi again rotates in, cleans up a kill. Overall, an amazing round from the Susquehanna Soniqs. Very aggressive defense, like you were saying earlier. I really, really enjoyed what they did with that admin setup.
Yeah, sudden changeup, and it works out well, and it may need to be the only defensive round left in this map that they have to play, so it might as well have been perfectly timed, too. One more attacking round here for the Soniqs. As long as they claim it, this map will be theirs in 8-6 fashion, but if not, we'll go for one more run on their defense to see if they can try to close it out there. TSM, not feeling as adventurous to try and go for the split site here in OT, is instead going to fall back upon the lobby site and pick into that instead. Operator lineup looks very similar to what we have already seen from their defense here, so no reason to suspect any different strategies from them.
Yeah, absolutely. This game overall, though, for, well, at least looking at the scoreboard and looking through everything, it's actually an outlier for this season for TSM. Achieve not doing so hot, Bolo and Merc on top of things. This is something that we haven't seen in a little bit from TSM. Achieved actually is leading quite a few categories this season, or at least he's in the top 5 in quite a few categories this season, inside of the NAL, specifically rating, KD, and cost. So Achieved has been doing a lot of the heavy lifting when it comes to those kills. But now Bolo and Mert combining for 24 kills. Just them. If you look at the rest of the squad, we're sitting at 16. So those two seem to have at least found their sea legs for this series. Hopefully that continues on.
Definitely a pretty confident start to the series at a minimum. We'll have to see how things follow up in the next 2 potential maps as well. But for this one, map number 1, things are coming to a close very, very quickly as we enter the second round of OT. And time now to see if Soniqs close out on what I believe is their first match point so far in this series. I think it was TSM that managed to get to 6 first when we were back in regulations. This will be their first chance to close out. We'll have potentially 2 chances to do it here, assuming that TSM is successful on this round, but we don't know that just yet. Bolo trying to get aggressive once more here with the Valkyrie. Let's see if he's got any good cameras outside. Not looking like it's the case, but I'll follow up on that in a moment if the opportunity presents itself. Either way, still trying to get aggressive with that upstairs hold, and he's not alone in doing it either. Does have the support of other players that are also trying to maintain that upstairs control in order to leverage a successful defense on a piano lobby.
Well, the Soniqs already expended all of their air jabs, so since Super's been out of the building the entire time, that means that they're on mostly windows and, well, anywhere that they assume they're going to try and rotate outside of the building. And this is very, very important, mainly because TSM, the last time on the site, was very aggressive when it came to trying to find some gunfights outside. So, overall now, TSM's going to be hindered when it comes to attempting to hop out these windows. You have a very, very good Valkyrie camera, though, and we still have that Ying, this time being played by Iconic, and he's swinging anti-chamber. The Candela's going off, and he's going to rush with it as well. He's got the ACOG, though, for close-range combat. Finds one, easily bags yet another. That's a complete clear on the bathroom. Now in full control with an LMG. Plenty of bullets to find any target, but TSM finally comes alive. Achieve gets traded, though, as we go down into the 2 versus 3.
A great entry for Iconic and the rest of the Soniqs in order to get some control. Now we need to see them get the diffuser on the ground, and that's where a problem's going to present itself. As you just saw, Bolo has full vision on the diffuser. Iconic moving in. Accidentally, it seems like, swings his aim away from it, but that nearly causes the loss of his own life. Despite that, though, Bolo ends up being incredibly low at under 25 HP. Now another player having rotated back down. Here comes the first plant attempt. They are going to very quickly remove that player, however, due to the worry that presents itself from the upstairs hold. And there you go. Bolo is able to line up the shot against Iconic, finish him off in the fight earlier, and drop the first actual attempt at getting the diffuser onto the ground. Another one's going to occur here in a moment, but there's still a Valkyrie cam in the bottom corner, one of the corners at least, of piano rooms. They're not able to safely place it onto the ground. Bolo's just going to get that info for free.
A very difficult situation here, especially with Bolo being upstairs. Don't know exactly where to go. Gomfi walking aimlessly through Z. Chala putting him through the meat grinder. So now down into the 1 versus 2. J9 has Diffuser in hand, but this is a very, very important round. If J9's able to clutch up, they'll go on in the series, but not just yet. TSM drags them right back in and puts him into another defensive round. TSM and the Susquehanna Sonics tied at 7-7.
And that Valkyrie cam being left in the back of the site, giving a little bit too much info to Bolo and allowing him to stop those plant attempts. Allow for TSM to roll back into that round and be able to close out, bringing us to that 7-7 scoreline that you just brought up in the final round of the map, regardless of the winner. Sonics have the opportunity still to take it, but so does TSM, as we'll be heading to the basement for the very final round of the map.
I will say, though, going into the later half of that round when it came down to attempting to put a diffuser down, I'm very surprised that the Sonics didn't pressure Bolo upstairs. They knew that he was upstairs before they attempted to go for the plant, and they had presence on yellow with Gomfi. I don't know why they didn't rotate Gomfi up yellow to attempt to get Bolo off of the CEO office, because that was the entire plan for TSM to stop that plant. Maintain vertical control, stop the plant through vertical play. And Sonics just let him do it. There was nothing there to truly stop him. You're on offense. There's no air jabs to worry about, no claymores, anything. He just would rather hold that yellow control, I'm assuming, to stop Chala from rotating through Z. But it wasn't even Chala that was going to try and stop the plant. It was Bolo upstairs. So a little bit of a mishap there for the Sonics, but still in this one, it just comes down to this.
As you said, final round here. J9 doing some last-minute setups on the Goyo shields here, so he'll bring that into the fold. And we'll see how well it can stem the tide. Remember, we've already seen one round that TSM was able to...
I hate to cut you off. We have all nitro cells on the defense. Every single one.
For all 5? Oh,
they have collected all of the Infinity Stones.
Yes, it's been done. Those madmen. They've officially done it. They've crossed the line of insanity.
Hey, you know, maybe they're just like the Joker. I'm just a dog chasing cars. Wouldn't know what to do with one.
Like, be fair, it works out. It works out pretty well with Goyo too, because they still technically have 2 deployable shields. They've got a big explosive pack on the back of them. So we'll see how well this utility works out, because obviously that means no barbed wire, no other defensive types of utility, and that could present its own set of issues. You know, doing things like rotate's obviously a bit more of a pain because it's got to be done with a shotgun.
Yeah, and the other thing is when you truly think about it, think about the firepower that they bring. They bring an UMP, an MPX, 2 vectors, and a shoddy SMG-11. That's not the kind of firepower you want to go up against the G8 with. I'm just going to put that one out there.
Yeah. Definitely going to be playing the passive game, I think, on this one, Sonics, and trying to delay the fight to close range and at the very end of the round, as long as they're able to dictate that situation, of course. But 1 minute and 50 seconds, the first minute or so of the round has already gone by for TSM, and as you might expect for this round, things are indeed pretty quiet at the beginning here, due to the fact that Sonics just really can't take any long-range fights, at least not without a massive risk attached to it if they should choose to try and make that play. Aggression was the key on the first overtime defensive round for them. Now, passive play is going to be the winning key, assumably on their side anyway, to try and close out this map.
After the Sonics, at least with how the Sonics have been playing these defensive rounds, for TSM, you have to feel for them. It more than likely feels like no one's home. It feels like there's a bunch of ghosts walking around. You have free reign of this entire mid-floor here. As we're going to now start breaking up the flooring, looking over towards pipes. But again, for TSM, Sonics are playing way, way far back in comparison to how we saw them playing before. They don't even have a soul inside of the garage area either. We're going to blow a preemptive nitro cell inside of antechamber, but all that's going to do is make more lines of sight for a cheat.
Replace nitro, that was the one you guys heard the dial tone for before, as the players were falling back in the cafeteria. An explosion just to the right of the player we're currently looking at was where it came from. So with that having gone, no success. That's at least 2 of the nitro cells for the defenders now gone, but the good news is they've got 3 more, and there's going to be one of them right there. Oh, excuse me, that won't be a nitro cell, my bad. That's still going to be a pre-placed one. That looks like it's going to go down on the ground. Gomfi now looking for revenge to that, seeing if he can add one more to it, but no, he's going to get spammed from yellow instead. Iconic moves in here, tries to cut these players off. Iconic will be able to take out Merc, but will quickly get traded by Achieve. Now this brings us down into a 4v3 with Geo putting the diffuser onto the ground successfully and being able to fall back. No, unfortunately not, actually. He's going to get caught by J9 just before he makes it to the outsider into a safe post-plant position. And now that puts us in a 4v3. Sonics trying to retake.
This is very, very difficult because you have to worry about 2 post-position plants. They have car control and they also have the vertical play from Achieve, but he's been down now. That's actually huge for the defense. Now they have to worry about Bolo. The troublesome thing about this is we've talked about the G8 a lot today, and it's got a very deep magazine. Chala, though, being chased inside of the bathroom, gets one, not able to get the other, but the timer is so dangerously low, Bolo's only going to have to stop one singular person, and that's it. TSM wins the game. It doesn't matter what you do easily, and Bolo's still going to get a kill for his pleasure. So TSM win Consulate, and overall, what an amazing map between these two.
Yeah, like really down wire. Not a lot of mistakes happening for the most part there too. We had a couple very small mistakes happening between the two teams, which did end up costing rounds in my opinion, but they were really just blips on the radar for what was otherwise a fantastic game played by 2 fantastic teams. And the best part is it's only the start of this series, ladies and gentlemen. That's just map number 1, just to highlight some of our top fraggers, by the way. Bolo, of course, on top of the scoreboard and 19-7. Merc, a little bit further behind him at 10-10. Meanwhile, on the Sonic side, we had Gomfy at 14-9, and their second highest player. I missed the name, but he had 11 frags there. Tried to read it off for you guys before we ended up getting it off the screen. But either way, just an amazing game between those 2 teams. I'm incredibly excited to see what the rest of the series holds.
Yeah, and I think the thing that's most surprising about the scoreboard after we looked at it is that Gomfy was the top frag for the Sonics. He kind of did it silently. We didn't see very many kills of his on screen, but it was overall such an impressive showing.
Yeah, absolutely the case. And now this takes the discussion over to the second map. We're going to be going on to Theme Park next here. We've got TSM being able to wrestle control of that one for themselves and be able to take, of course, their own map pick. And now they have to deal with the issues from last week and not only obviously overcome those, but be able to try and close out on their opponent's map pick, which is going to be heading back onto Theme Park, like I said, the area where they struggled last week. It's going to be a really interesting time. I'm very excited to get to it. So make sure you guys stick with us as when we come back. Obviously, the analysts are going to break things down for map number 1, but very shortly after that, we'll have map number 2. Be right back, guys, in just a few moments.
Welcome back. I'm Jackie Jing, and I'm with Veli and Jesse. Another close one. Overtime again. Jesse, you said it was our third 15-rounder today, I think. But yeah, that was wild. TSM wins 8-7 on Consulate. We got to go back to that final round there. That was just nuts. Let's break that down. It looked good for the Soniqs. And then TSM put the plant down, and then we're in a 1v1. I mean, it was just chaos, Veli. I think you were saying repeatedly, I'm sick, I'm sick, I'm sick.
Yeah, I'm sick. I was writing down notes. And then Jesse pointed out to me, he said, hey, this is a full C4 lineup. And I took a look and I said, okay, I think this is about to get, explosive for a second. But the thing was, you saw them go 0 for 2 with C4s. You saw a plant go down, no explosive stopped it. Then things started to get questionable. I saw 3v2 on the ends of Soniqs, but unfortunately they weren't able to close that out. I know it's a heat of the moment and hindsight is always 20/20, but with that player, I believe it was Sledge, above and piano and anti-chamber, you have to be effective with those C4s, right? You're gonna have to be able to make the right plays. They were unable to do that, even though they did almost win that out. I kind of wish Super had help at the end so they could get that counter defuse, but either way, I mean, great job by Soniqs and TSM. That was a nail biter.
Yeah, Soniqs really close there. Oh, sorry, Jesse.
No, I just wanted to echo the statement he's on the C4s. Like, I don't know how you bring 5 C4s into a round and then land none of them.
0.
Like, that's just kind of, that's tough. And you let the plant get down too. You throw a bunch of them up above. I mean, it's pretty disappointing to see, but hey, that's how it is sometimes.
Yeah, that's a hard loss for the Soniqs there. But let's talk about TSM a little bit. Bolo, I mean, I think we thought he had roughly 21 kills or something like that. Jesse, just sound off.
I mean, the guy performed, right? And that's really nice to see from him. Really, he didn't have a ton of standout plays. The one, obviously, the 4K rotating up on the Archives Tellers defense, that was huge. But otherwise, there wasn't anything super flashy. I think it was just being really consistent for him. He's been, the only player that has really brought IQ. And I was chatting with Soniqs a little bit about this over the weekend. And, IQ is a strange operator because not a lot of teams are bringing her because although she's got a great gun, with Echo permaband, a lot of teams don't really, I guess, give her enough credit. They don't really think she's worth it. But Bolo is consistently every single play day been rocking a lot of the IQ, and it's working out really, really great for him. So I wonder if we'll see more players like J90 did this map start to bring out the IQ more and more as a full-time main operator.
And I think it's important to point out that as he's bringing in IQ, he doesn't have any crush utility to help him out. Yeah, we could talk about the G8, but it's not the same as bringing a Zofia or an Ashe, even so to say. So everything Bolo's doing is just mechanical greatness, so gotta give a shout out to him.
For sure. And Veli, TSM was just outplaying them in every way. Soniqs came back, obviously, but we were both talking about how much stronger they were on attack, way stronger.
Yeah, so you know what, there's two ways I can go about this, right? I could look at it one way and say, yeah, Iconic and the rest of the team didn't do too well, especially when it came to the roam, except for Gonfi. But I'm not going to go that route because you have to give credit where credit is due. TSM were able to hunt them down, win their 1v1s, and continue on to the site. Chala, he's not even the entry fragger, but that man was able to one by one pick players off, especially on that second floor as Nomad. So with him leading the way, that was great. But once the rest of Soniqs woke up, that's when you saw the great individual play and roaming come around. That's when you saw Iconic going big with the 3Ks, the C4s going out the windows, getting all the kills. We needed more of that earlier on. It was just unfortunate that they didn't have enough gas in their tank. And a really good example, and I'm going to make it fast, they were doing the server hold. They had 2 players with C4s underneath. One was Pulse, the other I kind of forget, I believe it was Mute. But the rest were roamers. The roamers couldn't get the job done, and when the C4s were wasted, they had to focus on the retake when the numbers weren't in their favor. Now, if they had help earlier on, most of those L's could have been big wins.
Okay, and Jesse, I know you got a problem with the Soniqs defense tactics.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, Veli doesn't want to slam on the Soniqs defense, but I think I do. I thought the overtime defense was quite good, and I think that's the best defensive round that we saw from Soniqs, round 13. But in the first 6 rounds in the regular time, they really didn't impress me at all. The garage, like the one garage defense they won was pretty solid, but even that was like a lot of just like Gompy was getting a lot of kills. And then like the other defensive round they won was they were playing in tellers, and they did this twice. They're playing in tellers, and they're playing C4s, and they're not really hitting enough C4s to only play C4s. That round was only, like, again, Gompy rotating up spiral stairs and saving it for them. And then a lot of their other holds, like in lobby, just really weren't impressive to me. Garage was, again, like, why do you have 3 roamers up above and, like, no piano control, and then TSM just runs into plants, and you've got nobody there except for Super, you know, doing whatever he's doing with Geo, and then, like, that smoke catastrophe.
That was great.
I mean, that was funny. That was great. But, like, really, you should have more people, like, on the bomb site for that. The strats have just been weird and not very good, I would say. So,
Okay.
yeah, it is what it is.
I love it, Jesse, sounding off there. But our community poll results are in, and the question was, which edition has been more pivotal for the team, Iconic or Chala? What do y'all think?
It's Chala. Undeniably, on attack, Chala is a game changer, and he helped boosted TSM to take the lead.
Okay.
Chala,
Jesse?
for sure. I mean, like, his smoke plays have been ridiculous. He's been like the clutch master, or at least in the last week, he was really, really good. So, yeah, Iconic has been a great player, but Chala's been better.
Yeah.
Well, 45% said Iconic, 55% said Chala, so
Rightfully so.
there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, gentlemen, really quickly, predictions. What are we thinking for map 2?
I'm still going.
Jess?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Jesse, she called you first, man. I got excited.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think Theme Park is going to be a little bit tougher for TSM. They haven't done great on this map in the past. I believe they're 0-2 for it, but I still think they're going to be able to pull this one out. It might not be 2 maps that they do it in, but they should be able to take this over Sonic still overall in the best of 3.
Very excited about this one. Well, what do you think?
I'm still going to have to go with Sonics, even though I'm pretty
Okay.
disappointed with how they played a few rounds, but I still believe in them.
All right. Okay, y'all. Well, let's see who takes map 2, TSM or the Sonics. We have so much action ahead of us. Don't go anywhere. Map 2, Theme Park next.
Welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen, to the U.S. division of the North American League, and what has easily been probably one of the most exciting nights so far here in the U.S. division. We are getting ready to jump into the second map between TSM and the Sonics, the first map with the full distance, just like quite a few of the maps from our other series tonight. And I think that a lot of people at home are now expecting these next two, assuming we even get to the third one, to do the same exact thing. We're going to be moving into Theme Park here in just a moment. Stokes, you think that this series will be ending here, or is that third map still in the cards?
It's really, really hard to say, John. I don't really know. The thing is that's so hard to predict Theme Park right now is that we haven't had too much play on it. We're getting more and more as these play days roll through because we have been prioritizing, it seems, Theme Park gets played. A lot of teams have been favoring it. A lot of teams have actually looked very, very good on it, but the offensive sets just have not been the best. It's actually been surprising the amount of influence the offense has had over rounds, though. I will say that. But between these two squads, one has won on Theme Park and the other has not. TSM got beat by Dark Zero. The Sonics beat Tempo Storm. So will TSM be able to have a little bit of a redemption here on Theme Park? Because it seemed that for a while there, especially in that DZ game, that they were the favorites to win Theme.
All right, guys. Well, let's figure things out. We're going into the map now, and it's time to get the bans out of the way. Maverick is going to be our first one. I think I've got a good idea as to what this second one's going to be. I'm not
man,
gonna say it,
wow.
folks. I don't want to look dumb. And it is indeed what I thought it was. Thatcher, big surprise.
Would have never guessed.
We're following We're following right along the meta with the two attack ants here.
All right, let's see what the defense is. And this is where things are going to change a little bit more. I'm expecting a Wamai and a Maestro. That's what I'm expecting.
There's one.
But the only other thing that I could possibly think is that TSM could possibly take like Kaid or something away. But again, we've seen quite a few weird defensive bans. Hey, you know what? Like sometimes, like I'm half decent at my job at least. You guys, like, you know, I'm not saying I'm good.
It's good of you. It's good of you edited your pick away from the Wamai there at the last second after the miner came out. You made yourself look real smart.
Second guessing isn't always bad, you know. It's sometimes really, really bad, and most of the times it's really, really bad. But sometimes it's not that bad, you know. When it works, it works.
Okay, guys. Yeah, it's going to work out pretty well there. TSM are going to get their start on defense and are going to follow the trends that we've been expecting here. It's going to go over towards Throne Room to start things off here in the very first round. This is a site, a lot of people were calling it kind of like imbalanced, right, from the second it was put onto the servers, but it's actually worked out to be like pretty even so far from what I've seen. It actually might be a little bit attacker-sided, but that depends on the matches you've been watching, and I know I haven't seen every single round that's been played on this site for certain, but it's worked out, I think, a lot differently than the community expected it to go, at least based off their impressions from like rank.
I completely agree with you. Well, actually, yeah, it's trending how I thought it was going to trend, if I can say that. But again, there's no like public statement from me being like, oh yeah, I think it's gonna, you know. So for theme park, I thought it was gonna be kind of a 60-40 split. Just because of Armory Throne and the way that the site rotation went when the map first came out. But as things have transgressed on the defense and we've seen better and better setups from a lot of these teams, the defense is actually bumped up quite a bit. Right now, the defensive win rate is 58% overall. But John, I'm going to give you a question.
What's the stats for this site?
Which one is it though? Which one do you think's the most like that has the best win percentage?
For attackers or defenders? I'd probably say like. Bunk,
no, it's actually Armory Throne. Armory Throne has a 65% chance.
So it is. Okay, so no. Yeah, so if that's the case, then yeah, it's aligning pretty well with what people thought of it.
So people weren't far off, which is a good thing. And if anything, that proves that overall play inside of Siege, even from the casual perspective, has gotten better. I think people are getting a lot better at predicting how these maps are going to interact in sites overall. Granted, they really thought that Armory Throne was going to be uber broken, and it's not. But I mean, overall, the weirdest thing for me on these stats is that Lab Storage has a 63% win rate on defense.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot more people have been picking it. Like I think that was the first site picked for whoever was on defense first when we went onto this map in the last series. I don't remember who got defense start on that one, but whoever was on it, I remember the first round going right to Lab, and Parker had mentioned that. So it's definitely probably going to become a thing for a few other teams. They start to catch on that too. Either way, in this matchup here, things are well on their way in round number one. Already a minute gone in the first round here, and it's been silent the entire time. Finally some shots ringing out, but I'm pretty sure that's just teams trying to posture themselves a little bit. As you can see, Soniqs has already gotten bottom and top dragon control, and are now starting to work on a path that will open up at least one of these walls and potentially allow for them to start working into the site.
Very good defensive setup here from TSM, specifically Geo in this corner. The last time that we saw the Soniqs here, I'm gonna come out right now and say it. I might be wrong about this, but the Soniqs were chucking a lot of grenades towards the southern side of that maintenance wall and actually ended up slipping quite a few through. So it seems that TSM has set up in a fashion to stop that from happening, attempting to throw Wamai discs far enough away to where it catches those frag grenades before they're actually able to go through and explode immediately to get anything off. It's a very nice setup and very nice adjustment here from the defense.
And you can see Geo just continuing to plop them down over the maintenance wall. Every single time one becomes available, and so far it's held the wall strong. No successful attempts to breach it have been made as of yet, although that may be changing here soon. Or actually, no, excuse me. The wall was opened a while ago.
That was the thing. I was just waiting.
But they're not able to push past it. That's the key thing, yeah, that you had mentioned here, and that's going to continue to be a factor as the smoke. Gas grenades go onto the ground. However, even that may be a changing factor, though, as Chala is going to get forced back. Now under 25 HP after suffering the wrath of his exploding shield. And I'll have to try and look for another way to get those onto the ground and stop the rest of the push here.
20 seconds remaining. This Gompy's the first one in the door. Almost bags himself 2 kills, but Geo somehow staying alive. That AUG works out for him well as he takes down Super, but gets immediately approached by Iconic. PDW in hand as well. Attempts to put a diffuser down. Doesn't work out for him, though. Chala with the FMG of all guns to make it work, and TSM overall making it work in this first round. beautiful setup from them. Some nice rotations as well, as it seemed that they actually had most of that the bottom floor held down from multiple angles. I mean, even inside of the kill cam, you can see Bolo's all the way over inside of barrels. That's not usually an area that you're going to see a defender.
Yeah, really solid defense being put up for them. And as you had mentioned in the midpoint of that round too, despite the fact that the wall for maintenance had been open, they did a really good job of denying the actual push to the inside of it. Lab, you had mentioned how strong this was for defenders before, so it's going to become the second site choice now for TSM, immediately shifting over towards Lab. And a lot of the same notes being rung here for the defensive setup here, as we're going to see the smoke still left in play on Shala. You'd also brought back in here for Merc to try and work off of, since the Cade is not an option, of course, with it being banned.
Oh, dang it. I put them on the wrong sides on my notes, John. That's what I did. I did that.
Yeah,
put them on the wrong sides, and I gotta adjust it manually because
it's a real disappointment.
R.I.P. me, because I gotta actually erase it now. I can't just undo everything and then redo it like I can on my tablet.
Yeah,
because I lost my pen.
You're on tablet.
Yeah,
gang?
I'm off tablet gang for the time being. No tablet gang. I'm pen and paper.
All right.
Not working out so well.
Classic.
Kind of like that around for the Sonics.
Yeah. We'll see, though, as I'm sure there's going to be plenty of chances for the Sonics to redeem themselves, much like the previous map. First round didn't start out too well for them there either. And despite that fact, they were able to make a very, very competitive match. Going to try and do the same thing here, the hopeful, successful attack against the Lab. Although that would go against the trend from the statistics that have been played out on this map so far. Which is what Stokes mentioned before, this one actually being one of the stronger ones for defenders. Nonetheless, we've got Sonics out onto the board. Let's take a look at what kind of flair they're going to bring, which type of direction they're going to push their players through. It is looking like we'll see players immediately go for the billiards window, along with probably start to push some pressure upstairs towards Cafe. J9 gets himself off to a hot start, in fact. He catches Merc, I think, right on that window, potentially, and was able to take him out.
It looks like there's a punch there at the bottom of the window, but very hard to tell. It could have been as simple as J9 pre-firing the window when Merc crossed, and just very unfortunate timing. But it does seem to be a punch, but again, might have been bullets. But now for the Sonics, after that pick, especially on a Merc, they've opened up sight just a touch, but most of the TSM squad is upstairs. Some good intel so far, and plenty of drones still on the field. Haven't even lost a drone yet, and we're already a minute in. That's actually very, very good for the Sonics, because Theme Park requires a lot of work when it comes to that information game.
A little bit of breaching attempt here from Sonic, or Iconic, excuse me, not Sonic, to get, man, really messing up today. All right, Iconic to get himself into the toilets here. And try to push that, of course, and working off of drone intel. But keep in mind, as far as I can tell, he is just alone by himself outside this window. Yeah, definitely going to be the case now that we can see it from the drone. It's a good ping off onto Achieve that'll force him to reposition now that he's hard pinged him. He's going to fall back onto the inside of lockers for the time being, trying more time, and more importantly, get more info, of course, from the heartbeat sensor. His opponent's still trying to take him out with utility, and we are going to see Geo get thrown to the back wall there. Unfortunately, Gomfi will now open up an opportunity to get a kill off of that and continue to put things in a good position for the Sonics.
Unfortunate for Geo. It's the hardest CC in the entire game, those air jabs that Nomad provides, so hard for him to attempt to do anything at all. More utility pours into sight, but it's Iconic with the next move upstairs, taking away Chala from the game. But Bolo finally, for TSM, some sort of a saving grace, but it's going to require quite a bit more to actually be the full thing. Achieved ready for a gunfight, but Iconic's just that much better. Pushes it to a double kill here inside of round 2. It's all down to Bolo now as he approaches the top of Arcade. Easily is there with open arms, and the Sonics find their very first round. Or actually, excuse me, their second round. What am I talking about?
Yeah. And quite a few of these where the Sonics have been able to, pretty casually win out the round ultimately at the end of the day after just finding a couple picks for themselves earlier on. And then the focus for them doesn't really even become the site anymore. They just try to kind of frag out on the round. That's at least the second time I've seen them win a round in that fashion, obviously following up from the first map, possibly the third too, because I think there was one more that they managed to win in a pretty similar a pretty similar method. Either way though, next site is going to be up on the board here for TSM. They're going to work their way upstairs finally and try out one of these sites. Keep in mind they'll be unlocking Throne for use on the next round, so more than likely we can expect a return to that. But for the time being, they're going to head to the bunks.
Ladies and gents, I'm going to be honest. My notes were more backwards than I thought. So it's actually 1-1. I got it fixed now. We're good.
Okay.
All right. What happened is...
I wanted to call you out on that, but I was like, wait, what are you talking about?
So for my brackets that I set up for round by round, right, I usually put offense on the left side, but since, I wrote TSM and all them in already, TSM's obviously on defense. So when I gave the round to a team, I gave it to the Sonics. Yeah, this is why
Taking all kinds of
I got a
L's today.
tablet. This is why. I can't. It's kind of hard to mess up a tablet. I'm gonna be honest. Well, now for these two teams, as we start things up in round 3, looks like we're headed towards Bunk Daycare, which is actually one of the only sites in this entire map that really didn't get touched. Bunk Daycare as well as the lab site are the two that really didn't change all that much. And specifically for this site, it's held a lot differently, obviously, than it was held last time. There's quite a few additions, and specifically overall theme park got cut right down the center and then smushed together. So you have initiation right next door. And as we've seen from quite a few teams, they really favor making it rotate from bunk into initiation and holding that security wall rather than giving it up initially.
About 30 seconds having gone by, so obviously we don't expect anything too crazy to have been established by either team just yet. Merc just kind of setting himself up against a lot of that pre-destroyed wall work there in order to potentially line up a kill with Sonic. Bit aggressive. I think he was waiting over towards break room and holding that angle. So not going to be the case, though. As we can see, Sonics are very much focused on Dragon side right now and trying to get in from here. But that'll more than likely start to diversify itself over the next couple of moments. At the moment, obviously, you've got Gomfy up on the roof trying to knock out some of these free hatches that are here. So that opens up play, towards areas like yellow. I don't think we're going to see them go down the yellow hatch, but it also allows them to drop into control and start shifting into the site from that direction, too. And then, meanwhile, for the defensive side, you've got players like Gio not holding the back arcade flank that over the next 30 seconds or so may have to reposition themselves. It's looking like everybody from the Sonics is probably going to be pushing from Dragon side.
Well, two members of the Sonics already out of stuns. Now frag grenades for Gomfy, but still have to worry about quite a bit. Frag grenade actually ends up killing Achieved. Didn't expect that one to happen, to be completely honest with you. I thought there would still be a disc there after they burnt that final one, but apparently not. Now trading back and forth after that kill of Achieved. Still have quite a bit of presence towards this eastern side here, but the Sonics making some pretty good headway, although TSM still battling back, and specifically Bolo is able to finally take down easily, making this just a little bit more difficult for the Sonics. But Iconic's in. He drops down the top yellow hatch and is already inside of Daycare. They have quite a bit to worry about. This is such a pivotal moment here for Iconic. If he's able to get any more kills, then that's all she wrote, more than likely. Gio's trying to find him pre-fires, but that's going to give his position away. He smokes off the door, but Iconic's already made the quick move. He's inside of Bunk. He challenges towards Arcade Bauk, but Gio's already got the shotgun out. It doesn't even matter. You try to close the gap, but he's already ready. 2 versus 2 now for the Sonics. Not too much time, but just enough to make something happen. But now it's all down to Super in this 1 versus 2, as Bolo's able to take down Gomfy. But Super, oh man, I haven't seen flicks like this in a while from this man. Actually going to end up throwing a full magazine in instead of capitalizing off the intel he got from that quick peek down the hallway. Challenges through Arcade, though, finds one. Does he have stun grenades? He doesn't. It's going to have to be the face check, but he's already worked his way outside. Bolo, so smart. Bait Super inside, outplays Mr. 1.6, and TSM find their second round.
Although even expecting a rotate through Arcade there, as you can see from the quick little replay cam that we looked at for a second there. Managed to quickly check the window, and of course he goes out there knowing that there's not even 3 seconds left in the round, so that he won't actually be pinged and won't give Super that free intel. Such a smart play from him. At the same time, though, you really have to call out that spur of the moment play that happened by Iconic. Obviously had no idea that someone was going to cross his hatch angle, but when he saw it, dropped down, immediately picked up that kill, and was able to rush into the site to get some great control. Unfortunately, his teammates were not able to translate it into an actual site take, as they were still far too early in their strategy. But it was a great play, once again showcasing how Iconic is able to capitalize on these situations where a lot of other players don't even try to take that sort of a risk there.
I think the thing to highlight that the most is that is what rat tactics are. In case anyone has heard myself or Kicks or anybody say rat, this guy's pulling something that's ratty, it's not that it's a bad play. It's the fact that it's something that is either very, very out there and not very many people use, or it's something that you do that's kind of stupid that you capitalize in the moment on that being a thing. And that's exactly what Iconic did. It was a rat play. He dropped the hatch. They weren't expecting it. And that's exactly how Ash is supposed to be played. Jump down the hatch, get your kills, get your frags, work your way into sight. And overall, an amazing entry there from the Sonics. And not a bad idea at all. I like that they're cracking open the playbook and attempting different things.
I just realized that that rat play is the same thing as
Yeah,
cheesing.
that's literally what it is. Like
Yeah, I just realized that was the same
yeah,
definition.
they're interchangeable. That's the best way to put it. They're interchangeable words. It's like you know, those people that like spawn kill with like bullet holes inside of barricaded windows and stuff like that. That's a rat play. It's basically you're just cheesing. It's doing something unexpected. That's all. Nothing, you know, against anyone's IQ or anything like that, which is like the weirdest thing when it came to that. But anyways, to things that are more important, we're 30.
We're off on a tangent
dude,
now, aren't we?
welcome to my life. Okay, this is life with ADHD. In case you were wondering, like that's it. You go on tangents and you don't know what you're saying for like 25% of the time. It just it just happens. Anyways, now that we're actually back into things, Drone's still going for the Soniqs, and again they're almost halfway through this round. Granted, they still have 40 seconds, but they're doing a very good job with the early intel, not losing any drones, and that's a really good thing. More drones means more intel, means that your offense can get farther. The more that they have to face check, the more dire that moment is.
He achieved, obviously looking for some intel on his own regard, playing from the outside here, trying to see if he can manage to get any sort of intel to play off of from downstairs, but at the moment, nothing actionable gained by him. As we take a look at the Sonic setup here, you've got Comfy and Arcade, quite a bit of destructible flooring for him to work with here, so he's going to start knocking that out, and we'll do the same thing in other areas of the map that he has access to as well. Good amount of pings coming in, potential for a nitro cell to be thrown. I think he's a little bit off the mark on this one, though, just a bit too late, unfortunately, be able to find the impact on a Comfy there.
All right, well, Achieved and the rest of the squad still up and healthy. No damage dealt yet, but quite a bit to drones. As soon as I say that, though, Merc's going to change things up. Gomfi dies to a nitro cell, and TSM in a pretty good spot right now. Still have plenty of site control. The Susquehanna Sonics need to get some verticality here, but the dangerous part about that is people have already been blown up. They have quite a bit of vertical play actually already done. Sled's doing a very good job, but as we said earlier, Gomfi now off the board. But that doesn't mean that this vertical play goes away. The Sonics now picking it back up, and they're going to need some sort of entry kill here. Most of the map is actually being held down. At any moment in time, this TSM roam could possibly clamp down on the offense.
Time's going to start to get low, so the Sonics will have to start taking some risks relatively soon if they want to have a hope of closing out on this round. Oh, and a nice find right there, too, from Geo. Don't even know if he caught it after the impact grenade went out, but he's going to attempt to follow it through with another. Unfortunately, it's J90 that gets the double for himself. J90, apologies, after he finds that trade on the Geo. Also gets one more for his troubles. That brings us down into a 2 versus 2 situation, with J9 still having to find some impact here. Same for Super. Unfortunately, both of them have been heavily lit, down to about 25 or less in the case of J9, and not too much better for Super. Merc and Achieve both at full HP. Oh, and even worse as well, they don't catch Merc sitting behind those pallets inside of Billiards, and as a result of that, we'll see one player from the Sonics just get completely wiped off the board, and the second one will not be able to push into Lab either. It's a successful defense for TSM, and they will claim another round.
Well, Lab's split right now. It's only a 50% win chance, so we'll see how that continues to work throughout this entire series. Hopefully we can get some more data to at least sample. Hopefully people continue to play Lab, because I'm very interested. Armory Throne, though, for TSM as they complete their site rotation. Throne was actually unlocked last site as well, so you can definitely tell that TSM wanted to attempt Lab. They wanted to actually make it work, and it ended up working out very, very well. And it was mainly because of how much time they delayed. The Sonics didn't really have a leg to stand on when it came to the sub-minute inside of that round. They had already expended quite a bit of utility, already had one of their soft destructors die, the main soft destructor as well. There was just not very many cards for them to play to actually pull themselves out of the hole that was already dug. So overall, an amazing round from TSM. Very, very good job on the patience game especially. They already knew when the round was won. They met their win parameter for the round, right? And then they just backed up. So overall, very, very good.
Another prep phase coming in here for Throne Room. TSM looking to try and start rounding off their defensive side now that they've entered the final 2 rounds of the half. Already a good lead established. Now it's about trying to make sure it stays that way as we get into these last couple engagements for themselves here. Setup is once again going to look pretty similar to before. We've got the Wamai on Geo. I'm pretty sure that Reinforced Shield is also in a similar position downstairs in Throne Room itself. Yes, it's in fact in the same exact spot. So we can expect some of the same theatrics from Geo, trying to defend, even if it gets breached, trying to defend that wall leading into maintenance.
Can we fly through here and find where the ADSs are now? There's none on Throne. It's only Geo here. Oh, there they are. They put them at the front this time instead of on the actual Throne pedestal. So, well, plenty of things to burn through now, and obviously since there's no Thatcher on the field, since he's banned away, they're going to have to burn through all of these. This is a lot of stun grenades. That's exactly why we see all of those stun grenades brought by the offense. It's 9 stuns, but we've already burned through 3.
The moment we've only got one of the Wamai discs as well on the wall, but he's got another one prepped and ready to throw, so that one counts as well here. So that's more than likely going to eat up everything except for like 1 or 2 of the flashbangs, I think, on Sonic's side, assuming that they try to commit them all right there. And that may not even happen either. You can obviously easily kind of out of position to assist with that right now since he's upstairs holding top dragon. So Sonic, you're going to have to try and figure out a way past this. It won't be as easy as before.
Well, one of those Wamai discs is going to be burned. Another ADS in the wall now getting open for the Sonics. Frag grenade in, but it gets grabbed from an ADS as well. So this wall is going to continue to stay closed unless they can get that mute jammer taken away. Doffy going to go for another nade, but are they ready? Nade in, and it gets everything. All of those ADSs. A tick of damage done to Geo as well. Let's see if he's as successful as he was last time playing this shield.
Geo, of course, going to be shattered there for a moment. Not able to get his vision going as well. The drone will come in and reconfirm that he's in that same position as back in the first time they tried to defend this one. Now with that, we are going to see a Zofia charge used in order to deal with the reinforcement. Geo is now stuck with no cover to deal with, and as far as he knows, no safe way to retreat. On top of that, he's got his phone ringing as well. Another phone call is coming from the Dokkaebi. That just makes things even more difficult. That second phone call can also come at any time now from Easily. So they could very much, even if he takes the moment to stop the phone from ticking or the timer expires, they can just throw that right back on him for him to commit.
Well, Sonic's slow and steady right now. Not too much damage dealt to anyone. Shala's shield now gone as well. Still rocking that FMG, but actually ended up switching sights. He's got the holographic now, which... Actually, on a side note, one of the best sights in the game, to be completely honest with you, the new one on the FMG. But with 35 seconds remaining, the Sonics have to push into sight. That's a good start. Geo was practically the Minuteman, ready at any moment in time, but didn't matter. Able to get the entry kill that they need. But where's this diffuser going to go down, though? It's in the hands of Super. Gomphy with a long line of sight. He's able to bag 3 now. Oh my, what a transfer of vision. But Bolo, what a nitro cell for Kobe over the wall. Bags him. Merc continuing on down the line. And all of a sudden, the Sonics in a pretty bad spot, but they're still able to get that diffuser down. Merc now in an even more difficult situation here. 1 versus 3 as he comes down Dragon Stairs. Has maintenance wall to worry about in quite a few post-plant positions here for the Sonics, but are they aware of his positioning? Oh no, Merc, way too early pre-fire there, and Super... Well, with a little bit of game sense, finds him inside of maintenance, and overall, a really good round from the Sonics. I did not think that they were going to get that entry kill that they needed on Geo in time, and specifically, I did not see Gomphy going that big.
Yeah, I mean, Gomphy coming out huge on entry. Again, that's continuing his performance from the last map as well. So a massive week so far here in this matchup from Gomphy so far. Very curious to see how if he continues to perform throughout the rest of the series. The team is not getting into the site anywhere near as easily if he doesn't pick up those entries. And then, as you said, on top of that, the extreme laser focus on dealing with Geo's position allows them to get a lot more easily that time too, as he was able to delay for at least 30 seconds to a minute and draw that timer off their clock on the first attempt, and largely probably led to the success from TSM on the initial defense. This time, not so much, as he gets knocked out with nothing to show for
They
it.
needed to, because Geo was ready to be the martyr right there, man. He said, hey, for the cause, I got you. Don't worry about it. I'm dying. It's okay. It's okay. So he just held to the corner the entire time, but as you were saying before inside of that round, there's nowhere else for him to really go, because if you back up, Dragon Door's right there. If you go forward, the wall's open and Throne's next to you. There's no cover. So you're stuck in that corner, and it's fight or just die. So you might as well try and get a kill in order to find some presence inside of that round. But overall, a pretty damn good hold from TSM. It was just the fact that Sonics had so much more in the tank when it came down to it.
5 seconds to go.
All right, guys, we'll move into the final round of half here now. The last chance for TSM to try and make an impact and stop the Sonics from trying to tie this game up at 3-3. Sonics are looking good. Are they looking good enough to try and win out the Bunks attack? However, TSM still in a strong position to try and take the lead, but they have to come out on top of this one in order to do that. The Sonics, very much going to be the same business as usual. Even the Dokkaebi play on Easily, along with quite a few of the other operators that have already been pulling for them prior to this round. Once again, the focus is on the east side of the building to push in from Dragon and swing over to Bunks from there.
I like how teams have been handling this site and how they've set up Arcade Balcony as kind of a bunker area, just a safe space for a lot of the anchors to play and contest plants and things along those lines. It's a really, really nice setup. And the thing for TSM that's a little bit different than what other teams do is that it seemed that they opened up the entire yellow wall. Usually we see that reinforcement. Actually, no, they do have a reinforcement here. So I'm just going to stop what I'm saying. I do like the lines of sight, though, that a lot of teams run here. And I like that TSM has put Merc on this with the dock, because Merc has been lighting the world on fire, specifically today in comparison to his game so far this season. So give him that opportunity, give him that chance to get these impactful frags on these long distance gunfights. I think that's putting Merc in a area to be successful.
Quiet across the map, but Iconic lining up a perfect pixel headshot against Merc, trying to take him out. Goes sleuthy with it as well. Beautiful lineup, but now so far unresponded to by anyone on TSM, although we did see some damage going on a Gomfy. He might have potentially taken a repeat duel there a couple seconds ago. He's going to do it, and this time he's going to come out successfully, but unfortunately, he will also get traded by Bolo. Both players will take each other out of that simulation and bring us down into a 4v3. Still an advantage to the Sonics, though, for the time.
Can't break the fourth wall, Blue. Can't tell everybody it's a simulation. It's a real dead guy right there. Come on, man. Full control now, though. Actually, I'm going to put my words right back in my mouth again. Geo actually sitting inside of here. I thought that was J9 for just a second. But, you know, with the new UI and stuff, you don't look up into the left corner. The white bar travels around to all the different players. So apologies on that. But still quite a bit of map control in the hands of TSM. So Sonics, still a long road ahead of them. I don't think we're going to be seeing any TSM members take any long-distance gunfights anytime soon, all except for possibly Achieved. He does have that AUG, and that does very, very well at long distance. But he doesn't even have that. He has the MP5, so more than likely no long-distance gunfights going to be happening for TSM. They just have to delay as much time as possible. They're doing a very good job of that. Charlotte with a nice flick, just a minor adjustment to find Easily head, and all of a sudden, we're on equal man here. So Iconic's already forced his way into sight again. We saw him do this prior by dropping that yellow hatch. He's forced himself into B, but they still have pressure other places. Super now trying to put a diffuser down, but that's been thwarted by Geo. It's all left up to Iconic. He gets one, but did he even get the down? He did. It's down into the 1 versus 1, but Chala's close in the corner with the shotgun, and TSM finds round 6. What a great rotation there from TSM. Amazing team play to lock that down.
If you watched our matches from last week, that's a little bit of a throwback for Chala. We saw multiple 1vx clutches from him, a lot of them near or at 0 timer too, and he brings us yet another one right in that round as well. Obviously, it starts out in the 2v1, so thankfully once he downs his teammate, all he's got to do is make sure that he holds the cross angle to be able to find that kill, but still getting the job done, and what's otherwise been a bit of a quieter match so far for the man there, for Chala.
Okay, well, that does it for this half of the game there, John. We're now switching sides. Susquehanna Sonics on the defense, TSM on the offense. So Susquehanna Sonics now with the favored side. We'll see how they fare. End up splitting things 4-2, which I would say is par for the course when it comes to the percentage base that we heard before. But I will say that the only thing about that side for TSM is that Lab was only won 50% of the time. They only went twice and they only won it once. So we'll see how the Sonics do if they end up going over in that direction.
No surprise, though, we'll see them switch over to Throne as the starting site. So far, both teams have chosen the same site to start on their defensive initial round. Sonics, of course, choosing the split site, as did TSM did back on our first map for Consulate, and now doing the same thing for Throne Room, so both teams aligning pretty well with regards to that selection of sites. Operator lineup, however, is going to be slightly different for the Sonics. No Mine will probably be the biggest thing that you'll notice. Instead, we'll see a Castle brought in on Gomfy into the mix there, along with a few other smaller changes to the lineup that have been made.
Uh-oh, this is looking like a round that happened on Consulate, because Super's the only one in sight right now, I'm pretty sure. Well, Easley's going to come back down, but everybody else is gone. It's Super and Easily. It's the duo downstairs, the two IGLs trying to get things figured out and hopefully having a successful showing. The Sonics, though, dedicating a lot of utility upstairs. I like this approach, but we've seen TSM do a very, very good job of clearing the maps that they've played on so far. So let's see how TSM does this time. They found 4 defensive rounds, which that was the difficult part for them on theme the last time. They couldn't find a single defensive round. So as of right now, it seems that TSM is well within reach to win this game.
TSM, of course, only needing 3 rounds at this point in order to close out and end the night a little bit early for what some people might have been expecting, given the very epic occasion that just happened on the last matchup. But don't fret, Sonics have been fighting good all night. There's still a great chance for them to come back into the fold. Ties up at 4-4, trying to run the gauntlet to get themselves up to 7. Take us to a map number 3. We'll be working ourselves over onto Oregon if we manage to
I feel
get
like
there.
DG and the Sonics both need a Rocky movie because they just need someone to beat the literal crap out of them, and then they start playing well. I don't get it. I don't. Like, there's been multiple of these maps where I'm like, you are just getting, like, can't win a gunfight, anything, but they flip a switch and start destroying everyone. So we'll see if the Sonics are going to be late bloomers again. But overall, throughout this round, they've just been really attempting to burn things over maintenance. They still have to worry about this mute jammer, and there's an ADS there still as well. It doesn't seem that Achieve's attempted a frag grenade yet. He hasn't, but quite a bit of action as Merc gets a double upstairs. Gonfi gets one for his pleasure, but traded by Merc. So now TSM, well, within reach to win this round. Frag grenade over the wall, gets rid of the mute jammer, and maintenance wall is now open for TSM. Gio's the one manning that diffuser as well, but they still need some intel and possibly another pick to make this work. Super and easily both inside of sight, but that leads to question, where is Iconic? Iconic's all the way upstairs inside of security. He's going to get air jabs, so now they know at least where he was at that moment. Seems like he wants to rotate somewhere else, though. Is he ready for this gunfight? It's at range with an SMG-11, very low mag capacity as well. It's Iconic and Merc, the two young guns trying to go back and forth. Quite a bit of damage dealt, but Merc, oh my god, such a smart play, but it doesn't work out. Oh no, not enough damage dealt to that foot. Iconic can still walk, but can he still run? He needs to clean up at least a kill here, and he does. Oh my, Iconic holding on to this round for the Sonics. They have to stop him. He's rotating through, but he gets another one. A triple kill with the SMG-11. Gio, you have to put the bomb down. You have to do something. He's committing to the plant now. Only 5 seconds remain. Iconic rotating in from maintenance, but it's easily from across the field to find Sonics round 7.
Iconic getting away with absolute murder on that one. Seemed like a lost cause for Sonics until those final moments when he's able to make the push towards Cash, pick up the very extended duel, and eventually drop down, where surprisingly it seems like either a call wasn't made or there wasn't an expectation for Iconic to continue getting aggressive, dropping down into Gong and trying to push out into Red Hall. Big mistake or big misread from TSM, as that's going to cost them those first 2 kills that he manages to get on the flank that eventually turns into the clutch.
And I got other good news. My dad didn't yell at me. We're good.
Thanks for yelling. That's cool.
Good. Yo, hey,
yeah. You're looking good there.
Yeah, dude. Heck yeah. I'm being loud at 11:48 at night. My parents don't even care.
Nice, man. Reddit's gonna be happy.
Reddit's never happy. Are you serious? They're never happy. I could probably be a priest and they'd be like, you know, like something that you really can't argue against, right? Like something you're just like, oh, this is a good thing. It's whatever. But anyways, the Sonics having a banger of a round, specifically Iconic. 9-0-4 on this map so far. Gonfi also dropping 9 kills. I feel like we don't see Gonfi get kills. I might just be blind, but I don't think that we've seen a lot of Gonfi's kills on screen. He's the silent killer. It might just be me, though. Again, like I'm trying to take notes and do all this stuff at the same time. Sometimes you don't catch everything. It could just be my fault.
He's getting a lot of the mid-round trades from what I've read so far, but obviously, was a huge factor on the entry for that one throne round. So we definitely got to see that, and that's the average picture for his fragging capability. Then man, we might have missed some good ones, but hopefully we'll get to catch those later on in the matchup here. Gonfi's certainly been firing on all cylinders for this matchup to make sure his team has a chance to get past Titan in TSM, but so far proved to be a little bit difficult. TSM just barely holding on to their lead throughout these 2 maps. Really want to give credit, just to hark back on the last round one more time here real quick, to Chala for some really well-placed air jabs. He should have had 2 players dead to right, and he did at least get the assist, obviously, on the first one through the air jab that had gone off. The second air jab would have killed Iconic had they been able to take him out in his second duel that he got into. But unfortunately, obviously, that didn't end up being the case. Bolo sadly lost that one. But still, props to Chala for some really well-placed air jabs to cut off both those players and potentially set those kills.
Yeah, the thing about those air jabs is they are quite finicky when it comes to placing them. They're not very difficult to place or anything like that, but the direction in which you get knocked down is completely up to where they're set. And Chala's done a very, very good job, as you said, of setting those up and trying to get as many kills as possible with that utility. Good setup here for the Soniqs, though. Plenty of utility, speaking of which. Set up for the Soniqs inside of waiting room. He's got an ADS, a bulletproof, everything at his disposal to try and help him out here. For TSM, though, it seems that they're a little lost. A minute 30 in. Haven't lost any drones, actually, so the info game's still strong, but just slowly winding up here. We don't even really have any presence, all except for the west side. Seems that they want to try and take this from west to east. Drone in now. Merc self-droning here, and quite a bit of info game here, especially with Mute in play. Oh my god, look at him and go! Knows where Gomfi and Easily are. Chala now with a drone. Merc doesn't want to get too aggressive just yet, just in case he can possibly get refragged or just get a second opinion on that intel. Iconic, though, gonna start us off. Nitro cell kill, and that's pretty par for the course is what we've seen. Bolo, though, finally warming things up for the offense, so that 4-4 split going into 48 seconds.
Time indeed starting to get lower and lower here, but the Soniqs have held an even man count. A few players from TSM not even inside of the building just yet. Gomfi will get down, but he's got plenty of time to stim himself back up to 75 HP, and he's still got one left. Well, I thought he was going to pop easily up, but yeah, actually he's got all three, so he's going to be able to do that, but not immediately, as Bolo just picked up the next trade, eliminating Iconic easily. Will be able to swing out, find himself the pick against Merc, and now Gomfi, here we go. This is what we were waiting for that whole time. A little bit of a stim up. And props to Easily for winning out that fight at low HP, but now he's going to be at higher HP to try to play out the rest of this one. 13 seconds left. The two remaining players from TSM having to force the issue onto the inside of office here, and will it work? Chala trying to move out. Gomfi's going to get down as a result of that. Bolo now alone trying to force the plan. He got one through the smoke. He tries to go for the last, but he did get the start of the plan at the last second here. So as long as this goes through, the timer's going to continue, but Super with the push will walk right up to him, knock him out with the headshot, and deny the clutch.
Oh my god. I can't breathe. What was that?
That went from like not happening to maybe it's happening in like half a second.
If someone could just get like a syringe of just like or like if I could get a like a cup of just, you know, Bolo gamer sweat, dude. Like, that man is so skilled. I don't understand how someone is just that good at video games. Like, I'd like to think I'm pretty decent at video games, like, in the grand scheme of things, right? But this man just exists on an entirely different plane of existence. It doesn't make any sense. He just stands up, caps a guy inside of smoke. You can barely see the man. And I guarantee you, if there was 10 seconds left when he did that, he probably wins that round. What a round from Bolo, but overall, a better showing from the Soniqs and good game sense from Super to not step up to the plate for that.
So close, but that has often been the story tonight. Individual players making massive contributions in the mid or late round situation, but falling just short of the actual clutch itself. And unfortunately, Bolo becomes our most recent victim of that sort of round. 4-4 is now the scoreline. The Soniqs have run the comeback and have tied us up at an even score, and now looking to run the gauntlet all the way up to 7 in order to trigger a third map. That's the important part out of this one, since we are in map number 2, folks. If you're just joining us or only recently joined, TSM does have the lead in the series, so if they win this map, it's still going to end out, and Soniqs will not have that chance for redemption.
Okay, guys, we're going to lab. You know what that means? We have another one to put in for the sample. See if things are going to stay the same. I'm on this like, you know, a hawk.
All you math nerds out there, get real hyped.
Jesse's going to be so happy. Oh, man. Jesse probably owes me dinner after this. Mute Jammer's down now, though, for the defense, but not before an air jab goes off, and sadly, Mute Jammers don't stop. Oh, not air jab, a breaching round from Ash, and it doesn't stop those either. So that's still going to blow up and still going to get rid of that castle barricade. A little bit of a pre-fire, easily flirting with death at the time, well, at least at the moment. Shotgun in hand to try and prevent anybody from hopping inside of the window, but that doesn't seem to be on the menu for TSM right now. They much worry about the rest of the map, and that's a good plan. They still have, well, a decent amount of utility to use for intel. They've already lost 2 drones, but hey, what's 8 more when it comes down to it? Get some intel onto J9 now, and they need to worry about this top floor. This should be the main area that TSM should be attacking. You need to get rid of this vertical control so you're able to put a diffuser down. This entire site is susceptible to vertical play, so you have to watch what you're allowing to happen upstairs here, and that's exactly what TSM is going to be doing. You can see we've adjusted Merc actually across the field. He's going east to west with Bolo, and they also have 2 TSM members on that western side. So it seems to be that the TSM members actually want to push them back into those other 2 remaining members at the back end. What a great setup here from TSM to clear the top floor.
Closeout, though, is what needs to be important for them here, and that's often where they've struggled, often due to plays like that. But this time, Bolo cuts it off at the head. Merc also manages to put together another kill for the team by knocking out J9 and leaving only Easily and Gomfy. Gomfy now just getting engaged and also falling to Merc. So now, just in the 1v5, him against the world, quite literally here. Trying to pull out something for, oh my god, Merc coming out of nowhere on yellow with that one. Lines up the headshot on Easily, and it's a flawless round for TSM.
He's not even saying GN anymore. He's just letting you know. Like, you know what happened. I don't have to say it. I don't have to say it. TSM, though, overall, amazing round, and specifically Bolo and Merc. What was that? That was something otherworldly, but again, what else have we expected from these two? Specifically Bolo, though, if you guys didn't know and you haven't been paying too much attention to his scoreline, he actually has 15 kills right now. 15 kills through 9 rounds.
He's feeling real bold. Now he's 6-picking the collie.
1 and 6. Well, the thing is, though, is with Bolo, not only do you have good aim, but you have a rifle that downs anyone it touches, and you have a secondary SMG that's arguably the best secondary SMG in the game. I think it is, but I'm going to assume there's somebody out there that's like, oh, no, dude, SMG 11. I definitely think that, I can't even remember the exact code for it, but anyways.
Yeah,
what's the official name?
It's the SPS something. I think it's like SPS 200 or something.
Dude, everything sounds like sunscreen and like a car model in this game. That's, you know, it's like, oh, it's MPX. Like, it sounds like I'm buying a Honda, dude. It really does. It really does. But no, man.
They're all acronyms.
Yeah,
that's why.
I know, right? But for the Soniqs now, coming into round 10, they have to try and slow down this all-out assault from TSM, otherwise this map's going to slip away a lot faster than they initially thought. They only need 2 rounds in order to win the entire game, that being TSM. So the Soniqs need to fight fire with fire, and that seems to be exactly what's on the menu for them, as we have J9 as well as Iconic playing aggressively towards Cash. They want to try and nip this in the bud quite early on. No drones over here just yet, so there is still room for error on TSM's side.
As we noted there too, we also have the Clash coming into the picture, which is going to make things pretty interesting considering that we have the immediate counter in Bolo's operator choice, or at least what would appear to be the counter. Not only is it a counter for that, but it also potentially speeds up the speed with which TSM should be able to get open that maintenance or really any other wall that they would choose to open throughout the course of this round here. They kind of have their pick now as a result of bringing the collie.
I'm going to have to play things a little slow. I like the adjustment with that collie like you were just talking about. Very, very good, and a lot of teams using her in place of that Thatcher. So this wall should be a little bit easier, and even the post plant could possibly be easier with collie on the field. Again, that rifle downs you in just 1 shot. They attempt to, what it sounded like, to impact it, and yeah, Super attempted to impact Trick, but it ended up missing. So that exothermic's going to go off. Maintenance now open, but this is just half the troubles for TSM. Still plenty of utility to cut through here, and specifically Super. He's the man that you want to be paying attention to throughout this entire round. But the troublesome thing is
I don't think they can get her from back there too right now, is the thing with these shots. I don't think it's staggered. It only reveals like her
correct,
foot
and if she turns to the right, then her it'll stay in front of her for like her main torso. So very good overall. They actually end up needing a hole on the other side or to have him move out from behind that. But as we've heard from Super before, sometimes things are played in the wrong area, but it doesn't even matter. Bolo switching to that secondary pistol. Oh no, it definitely opens up fully, John. The Soniqs are getting ran over right now. Super, you gotta slow them down, but you can't slow down Bolo, the man, the machine, J9, the only man remaining, but TSM doesn't even matter. Bolo, I can't get this man's name out of my mouth. I can't do it. It's impossible. He's everywhere. What a game from Bolo overall. I don't even know what to say anymore. How many kills does this man have?
I think that's like 18 now, maybe 20. Let's check the scoreboard here in just a second. Take a little quick peek. 18. Oh, that was right on the first try. That was a good guess.
That's not even fair. We need to nerf Bolo. You have to make him switch mice at this point. I'm just saying.
No. Absolutely not. I need the entertainment.
Oh my goodness gracious. Well, we've pushed it to the limit, at least here on Theme Park, when it comes to what you can do inside of regulation. For TSM, they end up winning a round. This is going, finishing in 7-4 fashion, which honestly doesn't tell any tale of the tape as to what happened inside of this series. I would definitely say this has been going back and forth. Even on Theme Park, it really is who just has the better setup. We've only seen a couple of rounds where either Soniqs or TSM completely bullied their way through the entire setup. So yeah. I would say overall, it's been very, very good for TSM specifically.
One question I'm really curious about around specifically, where TSM knew that the Clash was going to come out into the picture on that one or not, because if it was, and that was like a 3 billion IQ play to bring the Kali on that round specifically, I think there's a pretty good chance that just happened as a result of circumstance, and it was just a coincidence. But if they actually just like knew they were going to bring the Clash in on the second round and counterpicked it right there, that was easily one of the coolest high level things I've seen in a while.
Honestly, I'd probably chalk it up to the mute, to be completely honest with you, because they got the wall open a hell of a lot earlier than they did the last time. Pretty unique setup, though, for the Susquehanna Soniqs. They're putting Super upstairs and Cash all by his lonesome. Gomfi's going to be playing inside of his office, but there's no lines of sight to be able to assist him. This is very peculiar here, because Super doesn't have a hatch either, so this really is a make or break area for him. But I'm assuming if it works, I'm gonna guess he's gonna get a lot of kills, and Soniqs are more than likely gonna win the round again if it's successful. But TSM don't even seemingly seemingly want to play around with that. They'd much rather attack from the west.
Just to correct myself real quick, I just realized that the Kali was a 6-pick, so never mind, ignore everything I just said about it being a 3 billion IQ play. But either way, still a really nice counter for TSM in that last round. And now taking us into this round. Take a look and see if TSM can indeed get the closeout for themselves. Sonic, as we take a look at their defense setup for what could very well be their final round of competition here.
Attackers have located a
Things are going to be very much focused off-site again and trying to find these early kills. You can see easily the only one holding onto the inside of bunks. The same thing for Super on the other side. Other players are focused on that extended initiation hold or even holding in break room. Very much a split defense here from Soniqs. Has worked very well in the past. No reason to shy away from it. It also allows this anchor hold that you had been talking about before for the players that are holding back Arcade Hallway to potentially have some impact here. Although at least for Easily, he's going to have to try and reposition a bit, as he has been droned out very quickly.
And that's the very hard situation right now for the Soniqs, is they don't have anything to assist them in any of these gunfights. There's no shields, anything, and that's exactly why TSM's going to bull over all of Arcade Balcony. They have control of most of that area now. The Soniqs members that remain all trying to find safe haven inside of sight, but TSM's all over the situation. They've only lost Geometrics. They can still put a diffuser down. They even still have people on South Rappel. The rest of the Soniqs, though, need to get back to sight. It's all left up to Super and Gomfi. We could have a window slide here, but no, Gomfi maintaining his presence inside of sight, but not before Merc trades it back immediately. It's all left up to Super, the captain for the Soniqs, to keep them in this. Bolo putting that plant down, but it's not even gonna matter. Merc puts a fork in it, and TSM win it 2-0.
TSM do indeed hold their record strong with a victory over the Soniqs. They will take a 2-0 win in this series. 7-4 on the final map, 8-7 on the first map, but it will indeed be a successful series for them. Bolo coming out in a huge way on that final map to make the impact in those final few rounds to really push TSM over the edge. Massive props to him and the rest of the team for a very well-fought match. The victory will now push them forward further into the group and place them higher seeded as we move into Phase 2 in the next few days.
Amazing showing from TSM, but you got to give it to the Soniqs as well, specifically Gomfi and Iconic, who came up big for their team in most of these games tonight, especially that last game where we saw them both over double digits in the kill categories. So really, really impressive showing by them, and honestly, I was more impressed by TSM when it came down to it, especially after their showing last week. It's nice to see them back in the saddle.
Yeah, it seemed like they were a little bit shaky with like certain roles and positions in the first 2 weeks, but if that match is anything to judge them off of, things are looking a lot better, a lot more consistent, a lot more like the TSM we saw at SI, and that's certainly good signs, but also signs of improvement coming in for the Soniqs as well, as you had just mentioned. That, however, is going to do it for us tonight, at least for the casters. Stick with us, though, as when we come back from the break, we're going to have more from the analysts along with our winner interview and the final breakdown. See you in just a bit, guys. Stick with us for more action here at the North American League.
Here we go now. Here we go now.
Welcome back. I'm Jackie Jing, and I am with Belly and Jesse. And gentlemen, TSM does it in 2, defeating the Soniqs. And Belly, I'm going to start with you. The Soniqs were highly relying on roams, and you said you felt like there was no strong anchor play. So, I don't know, the Soniqs just looking kind of flat in that last match.
Yeah, the one thing is, the Soniqs, you look at their identity, they're definitely explosive whenever you see Gonfi, J9O, Iconic do their thing, right? And it's really fun to watch. But the one thing that I wish that they had as a backup plan, okay, if the front line fails, what's going to happen to the guys in the back? Are they going to hold it down? Now, this is a very big question for the fact that, yes, Echo is banned because of this issue, and Maestro was also banned in the ban phase. So Jesse and I was talking, and we said, okay, what type of anchors can they really bring in to change up the game? And you can really come up with Smoke, right? Yes, Smoke can stall for a great amount of time, but we still needed that strong presence in sight whenever the roamers failed. Now, I mean, this doesn't take away from their amazing identity, which is roaming, and how it affected the game, both maps.
Yeah, it's actually like, looking back at the operator stats, it's kind of surprising how little the Soniqs in their like entire games have brought Smoke, because it's one of those like staple operators and easily brings it every now and again. But like a lot of teams will have like a guy who's just like, all right, you're on Smoke. You can flex to mute sometimes, but you are our Smoke player. Soniqs don't really seem to have that, and that might again be because they're playing with subs, and so that's going to be a whole issue for them. But I would like to see maybe more anchor play as well. They do really like to go hard with those roamers.
All right, and let's talk about TSM a little bit. And I mean, Stokes kept on saying while he was casting, Bolo, I can't get his name out of my mouth, you know? I know, Jesse, round 3, the 1v1 with Super and Bolo really stuck out to you. Super had us on our heels, but then Bolo just sealed the deal there, and you really liked what he did.
Yeah, I mean, Bolo had like a million great rounds, both in that last map, and even in map 1, like, Bolo was really showing up. And so I think that's good to see because he's starting to get back on his track, and not, again, that he played poorly in the last 2 weeks, but this was definitely the strongest showing we saw from Bolo. The thing I really like about, like, how he and TSM are working together is, like, you can see the coordination is there. You know, a lot of the times it's like, right, Bolo's getting the kills, but, like, he's right there next to Merc, and Merc is fragging off on a lot of these rounds, or he's next to Achieve. You're like, there's somebody with him a lot of these times, too. So it really does seem like the coordination is there for TSM. And obviously, you know, when Merc's hitting the shots that he, or when Bolo's hitting the shots that he is, and Merc, that certainly helps a lot.
The most dangerous thing is the fact that more than less, we see Bolo peeking corners and getting a quick kill with no intel at all. The man is nutty.
He is absolutely nutty. But gentlemen, we have Achieved on deck. So let's check in with him really quickly. Achieved, congratulations on the victory. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm glad we were able to pull through and get the 2-0 today. Definitely some rough rounds. we had, but I played pretty poorly. The team stepped up big though. Bolo went crazy, so shout out to him.
Yeah, Bolo definitely went nuts. But you guys secured the victory and you're moving on to Group A for Phase 2. So that has to be really exciting for y'all.
Yeah. Obviously, we lost against DZ. We've been going through, since we picked up Chaw, we've been going through some IGL changes. We've tried Geo on the IGL. Now we're with me. So we're kind of using this first stage to find what we want to do and fine tune exactly how we want to play and who's on what roles.
Yeah, I actually wanted to talk to you about that loss to DZ and just wanted to see how did you all react and what changes did you immediately feel like you had to make, and did you do that successfully today?
So we lost to DZ. I actually think our attacks were really well. They threw some curveballs at us with the Cade in the Clash. Soniqs also tried to throw the Clash at us today. We actually handled it pretty well and we adapted pretty well, so proud in that sense. Honestly, we kind of had the same problem today on Consulate. Our defenses were really bad against DZ and it showed, and even today on Consulate, I know that the bans were more forward a defensive setting, or attacker meta with the Jaeger ban and stuff. So I would say our defense has improved a bit, but I think how you can look at how good a team is based on their attacks. And I think obviously when we fine tune our defenses, I think we'll be a lot better.
How did you approach the matchup today with the Soniqs? As we've repeatedly said, it was vital to secure this win. Was there anything you specifically targeted with them?
We kind of just, I guess we approached it with an open mind. We kind of had an idea of what they were going to do. We knew that they like to switch some things up. But on Theme Park, the last few rounds, whenever they go throne, we knew that they rely on a 3-man retake. The first time it ended up working, which was kind of a miss side on us. But the second time we were able to tighten it up and go for it. But we kind of just focused more on our gameplay and trying to tighten up on our defenses. And we knew that if we could, we would be able to come out with a W.
Yeah, map 2, you guys seemed in control. Map 1 was a little bit shaky. We have really seen some incredible play today, though. Do you feel like TSM has what it takes to be the best in the US division?
I definitely think we do. I definitely think we have the most talented players, by far in the NA scene, without a question, even in the world, to be honest with you. I think we just need to find our footing, especially on our defenses, fine tune our calling. Like I said, we've been kind of experimenting with a few things, so kind of trial and error right now. But I think whenever we find our groove again, I think that we'll definitely be able to show everyone that that's what we want and that's what we deserve.
Well, this victory is definitely a step in the right direction. Congratulations on your win achieved, and thanks so much for speaking with us.
Thank you.
And that was achieved, everyone, from TSM, pulling off that big victory against the Soniqs. And we have some stats up right now. Let's bring it back to our analysts, Jesse and Veli. So interesting to hear from Achieved saying that they're experimenting, they're changing things up. Any big takeaways from that interview?
Yeah, one thing I do want to point out, when it comes to land, this team is going to be way better than what we see now. Yes, Bolo is having amazing moments, but Achieved, in my opinion, you take a look at the last 2 lands that they've had. Next to Bolo, Achieved is either just as good or better between their last 2 lands. So this just shows the type of hidden talent that's still on this roster, and we've yet to see what TSM are fully capable of, even right after a team change. So it makes me really excited about them.
And I want to say, just regards to that interview, it really does make me feel good and kind of gives me chills when Achieved talks about how he feels his team has the most talented players in the world, and I believe him. Honestly, these players are really good, and knowing where they come from, with Achieve spending so long in the tier 2 scene and Challenger League a long time ago, seeing Merc rise up from the tier 2 scene. Obviously, Chala's been up and down as well recently. It really feels good to see such a powerful team come together, and these players are finally finding their strengths and really working as a squad here on TSM. So that just felt good.
Yeah, man, Gentlemen, we had a day, huh? There's so many great plays to look back on. What do you think the Corsair play of the day is going to be? Any guesses?
I'm not sure. My favorite play throughout the entire day is going to have to be Iconic's big flank on Theme Park. I think that was the flashiest and the prettiest play that we've seen that's ultimately won a round.
Jesse's got his thinking face on.
Yeah, I have no idea. NJR, okay, it's been a long day. NJR's ace was today, right? As well as his 4K in the overtime on Clubhouse. Probably something with NJR. I'm going to say NJR Clubhouse, either the ace or the overtime, or the round 12 4K.
All right, let's roll the tape. The Corsair play of the day is...
Oh, Reed!
Oh, yeah, this one.
Yes!
Oh,
yeah, this one's
Reed.
good too.
This
really
was
good.
awesome. We were all screaming when this went down.
Well, you have to remember one thing, yo. Like, every map that we've seen today has gone to basically overtime. So we've had more rounds today than I've seen in a year of Siege. So, I mean, there was like big play after big play, but Reed right here turned... he literally turned an L into a W just by vaulting through a window. Who vaults through a window to secure a win and take it to overtime? That doesn't make sense. It's not supposed to happen.
And it's always fun when you see someone on the team step up when, you know, everybody else in the team had been so dominant. And then we were like, Reed? Like, where are you coming from, man? Right. So that was awesome. But, gentlemen, let's look over the bracket really quickly and recap the day. Jesse, can you start with Group B?
Sure, so this is it for Group B. For phase number 1, we finally know everybody's ranking for Group B. Obviously, we saw it shake out where Dark Zero ended up in first, TSM are in second, the Soniqs got third, and Tempo Storm got last fourth. That means Dark Zero and TSM are moving on to Group A in phase 2. Soniqs, Tempo Storm move on to Group B in phase 2, and obviously Group A is sort of like the top 4 group. That's where you want to be. So ultimately, I think Group B had a ridiculous amount of close games. It's a lot of 2-0s on your screen, but trust me, these were not games that people were sitting still and snoring through. Yeah. Really great matches from Group B.
And this was the Group B bracket, and let's see if we can bring up the Group A bracket. And Bella, you want to add anything?
Yeah, Group A, it was fantastic. I would say it was the best game that we've seen today. It went down to the wire, and it was pretty unexpected. We saw the world champion Space Station Gaming face off against the brand new Disrupt Gaming team, right? Now, on paper, we expected, okay, SSG 2-0, but that didn't happen against Oxygen. SSG 2-0, no, it didn't happen like that against Disrupt either. Disrupt put up a great fight, went down to the wire. Shout out to NJR Reed, the rest of the fellas on this team, but they fell short against the world champions, all thanks to Fultz and Rampy leading the way with huge kills, 38 and 36 kills respectively. They were able to clinch out the win to get top 2 in Group A.
And I think, like, looking forward to phase 2, obviously people thought like Group A is going to be really stacked for phase 2 because it's the best of the best. No. But Group B is kind of looking really stacked as well. Like, Disrupt is down there, Soniqs are looking really, really good. I think Tempo Storm have a lot more to show, and E United has had some great plays too. So
yeah.
Ooh.
I agree.
Yes, so much amazing play today and so much great play ahead of us. Don't forget that we have a show on Wednesday. We also have the Canada Division and Challenger League on Friday, so make sure you tune in. And also, do not forget to follow us on social. We got a Twitter account, we got an Instagram account. But man, gentlemen, great job today. Yes. Great job to our casters as well. Big thank you to our crew at home. And of course, a big thank you to all of you for watching. We love you. We appreciate you. Have a great evening.